Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, got rose in my cup though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in on cup, though. Cocaine in my nose, yeah, got rose in my cup, though. Started climbing my pole, she got me locked in.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's a pleasure to be back. George Morgan here at your service. It's PSGL, it's Wednesday night, it's Spain tonight as well. Lots on the table, lots of battling. The title contest is still alive and kicking. And Jack, it's only taken us 10 rounds. We're on the 11th. It's all to play for.
Boromant goes on the inside and takes the lead on the final lap of the race. Now it's side by side between Boromant and Warner, but Boromant's got the inside.
Literally a guest star here in this phenomenal race. Cameron Dowd looking to take P2 in his very first PSGL F1 PC race. Incredible to say the least. You see that Putin still lead. 1.5 seconds. DRS is the name.
Good evening, everyone. Once again, back for PSGL E-Series, round 8 of the championship. This was meant to be round 7 2 weeks ago, but unfortunately, due to the EA servers at the time, we've had to have a rerun of this race to make it a bit more fair for everyone and to make sure there's no issues. So we're back once again on a bit of a different dates. Wednesday, normally we're here on a Friday, and normally I'm alongside Josh, JGM, but unfortunately he's at the Alpine factory today. So alongside me will be Mr. Chris Buxton. Chris, welcome in. It's Imola. Are you excited?
Very much so. An Italian classic. I make no apologies for the fact that I'm a big fan of Imola, both from a sim racing driving standpoint and a commentary standpoint. Love it. Really looking forward to tonight.
Indeed, I think we've got a very good race on our hands indeed. From qualifying, from what we saw last time out when we was at Imola, the grid was quite close, so I'm expecting it to be the same once again here tonight. But we'll have a quick look at the standings on your screen, and we can see it's Williams who lead the way on 271 points, about 40 ahead now of F7R, who had a bit of a poor result last time out in Qatar. I think it was 6th and 14th in the end for that team. And then Ferrari keep themselves still in third, just about ahead of R8G, who are in fourth on the 8 points, separate third and fourth in the championship. And then Race Clutch in the top 5 there on 194. They finished 10th and 11th last week, so not the best result for them either in this season. And then we can see SRC in P6 there on 193, so only 1 point separating them and Race Clutch. Then we have Veloce Academy in P7, followed by TF10 in P8, who took a podium last time out in Qatar. And then we have MVR in 9th in TES, down in 10th position. And also to mention, MVR also had a very good race last time out in Qatar, as they took their 3rd top 10 of the season. So very good to see them looking to try and, part way from TES, who are still looking to just try and find some sort of form here this season, Chris. And, from what you've seen so far, it's consistency that's been playing key here, isn't it?
Consistency is always king, but the biggest problem TES have, despite the fact they've actually got some very, very good drivers, they're in a field of very, very good drivers. That's going to be the hard part, is getting any kind of traction, again, pun intended, against a field that already is really, really stacked, is going to be a big uphill battle. But Williams, again, look at that. What's that? Quick math, 35 points to the good at the moment, which not insurmountable, of course, but it is a very comfortable gap to have. It means they don't have to go for silly overtakes. They don't have to go for a gap that's only going to close. They've got a commanding, I say not insurmountable, but it is definitely a lead. But then you've got 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. All in a really tight battle. That is where I'm looking forward to seeing the most intense fights.
Of course, and there's 55-ish points on offer if you get a 1-2. So for a team like SRC, which are down near the back, if they get a 1st and 2nd, they can easily jump up towards 3rd. And just before we get our way into qualifying, we'll have a quick look at the lineups here for tonight. So TF10 have Joel Marquardt and Felipe Sousa. Obviously, Felipe was meant to race last week in Qatar, but unfortunately couldn't make it. So he gets his first outing of the season tonight. And then Ferrari have Dylan Warren and Tomek Parajic. Tomek, a driver we haven't seen that much this season, so very keen to see what he can do in that Ferrari car. And then Race Clutch, we have Reese Linton and Lenny Pepinta. Veloce Academy, we have Mats Grossbeutner and Shimon Lekomsky. R8G, we have Julian Kleffenbach and Tamas Gal. Then F7R, we have Tucker Hardy and I think it's Race Imtiaz instead of Daniel Kaya here tonight. NBR have Nico Benz and making his first appearance this season, Wilson Hall. Then we have TES with probably their best lineup of the season with Nelson Arbez and Jan Halliday too. Challengers drivers. Jan took a podium last time out in Imola in the Challengers season, so I'm quite keen to see what he can do in tonight for that team. Then SRC have Harry Lai and Louis Welch, and finally our championship leaders have Ika Boehner and Kian Godendorp, 2 very quick drivers, part of the Williams team. I think 2 of the newest parts of the Williams team as well, so I'm keen to see what they can do and try and extend that gap in the championship. But Chris, looking on the track, it doesn't look all dry, does it?
No, that's somewhat soggy. And also worth noting, no one has moved. How many times in recent times in sim racing, in league racing in particular, where you had a constant flurry of laps? You tend to have it in pretty much every race. I love the fact that there's someone that's stood over the pit lane. He's having a good old time in the rain. Well, you were a duck in a previous life, obviously. No one has moved. We're over a minute into the session and no one has shifted. So this tells me 2 things. Either they're expecting the rain to get lighter towards the tail end of the session, so they're not, but not light enough that they can't ditch the inters, or is this going to be down to the last chance, last hit wonders to just get the track try and get the track to themselves. If they're doing that, I'm surprised they're not doing more laps, because you want to be getting rid of the rain. So this kind of tells me that they're waiting for some kind of point in the weather. I wonder whether the weather is going to lighten up a bit, so people are just going to save their inters until later in the session. We don't know. We have no idea what the weather is doing. We just have to kind of judge it as we see it.
Of course, I've had some information in my Discord chat, and it says that it's meant to get drier as the session gets on. Then it's going to be dry after 30 minutes, and then it's going to be definitely dry after 60. So which means we will not see people out just yet, because they're waiting for the track to get a little bit drier, which is looking possible. So, and that is from a driver in the session as well. So it seems, that's going to be the most possible idea. As we do see a car heading out onto track, and it will be Jan Halliday. As I said earlier on, took a podium last Challengers season in the in F1 22 here in Imola, so he's very quick around this track. He's very like enough. He likes the track very well. So I'm sure he should be able to bring a good result out here tonight for the TES team, who are still looking for a top 10 finish. Still, they've had 14 races. 7 races with a total of 14 drivers that can get themselves into the top 10. Still haven't been able to do so. This, if you're looking at the statistics of it all, is probably their best possibility of doing so.
Well, that getting into the top 10 during qualifying is one thing. It's making it count in the race. That is going to be the all-important part. As the second Mercedes has broken cover, Nelson Alves has decided to come out, along with both of the Haas's, I think. Both the Alphas, I beg your pardon, both the Alfa Romeos have come out. So Julian Klaffenbach has come out ahead of Tamas Gal. Have we got any more movement? No, so just the 4 cars have decided to come out to try the wet weather, which again gives them an idea on what the track's going to do, how the track is going to potentially behave, particularly if we are expecting rain into the next session as well. So we're thinking it may not necessarily be the case, but it's certainly no harm in getting some, getting those initial feelers out there. But, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what they can do. Of course, I'm quite keen to see what RHG can do tonight with Julian and Tamas Gal, 2 very quick young drivers. Obviously, Tamas, he's been there a little bit longer than Julian has. I think he joined about 3 or 4 months ago, whereas Julian's been there only about a month's time. So Julian a little bit more new, but looking to get settled in quite well to the RHG team. So, I think he can also play at a good result, hopefully. That his internet doesn't die on the way, because that's what's kind of brought him down this season, and also in the main season in PSGL. His internet isn't always the best, and when that happens, you tend to have a bit of lag, and sometimes that lag can cause an incident, or it can cause you to lose lots of time in a train, like when you tab out in AI and you lose 3 seconds. That can happen with lag as well. So I think that's also part of the reasons why Julian hasn't always been at the top of the standings. He hasn't always been fighting for victories, because it also creates, it can create a loss of confidence as well, because for a fact that in about, 10 laps time, you could end up being 40 seconds back.
Yeah, very true. As Jan Halliday is just about to find a Red Bull, and that was Philip Sauser that he's just gotten past, but no one else coming out onto track. As watching Jan Halliday now coming down into Aqua Minerale. No, overdone it. I'll take that one as the commentator's because I mentioned the name Aqua in the wet and he slides off the road. Find the irony in that entire statement. Wow. So, yeah, a bin lap there from Jan, but I say all for nothing, but these aren't going to be the counted laps anyway, because the track is going to dry up, or we're expecting it to dry out. That's also the thing to bear in mind. A number of these drivers that are leaving it to lastminute.com to get their laps out there may still yet be in for a nasty surprise, because we're expecting the rain to dry up after 15 minutes. But how many times has that weather prediction been wrong?
Yeah, we do know. I think it's set to approximate, not perfect, so it can be different to what it says. And well, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue for those who haven't been out yet. But I think the chances are still there. We can see now a few more cars heading out onto circuit. As we can see, Julian Klaffenbach there set the first time of the session. A 1:22.653 there for the RHG driver. We'll see what Tamas Gal can do there. A second off there, nearly, with a 23.239. And we can see a few more cars on laps now. Felipe Sousa now heading up in towards the Tamburello chicane. Down at turns 5 and number 6. And then he'll head down in towards Tosa at turn number 7 at the hairpin. Just wanting to coast the car in there. A bit of a drift there from the Red Bull as he heads his way through, and looking to try and get a decent lap underway here in the Red Bull. We know for a fact now that the track isn't drying up that much yet, but it is going to start drying up soon. So this lap here for Felipe will still count quite a lot, I think, towards the end of the session. So we'll see what he can do now as he heads through that middle sector in towards Aqua Minerale. Now up the hill, horrible corner that is there, especially in the wet. It's a very difficult corner to get right. So we're going to see a few drivers, I think, there make big mistakes in that corner.
Absolutely. So, and I'm still keeping an eye on Jan Halliday. He's coming through the second part of Ravazza to finish off this lap. Well, to get a time on the board, this will be 2 laps on these tyres, which with the wets and inters isn't too much an issue. There we go, 22.7 on the board. As these are more kind of just installation laps, just feeler laps, if they are expecting the rain to ease. It does look like the rain has eased up.
Yeah.
But is it going to ease up enough to make a significant difference for those that have decided to wait? That is going to be the issue. And now, I think everybody, not everybody, I beg your pardon, vast majority of the cars are now out on track. Only, 4, I think, have decided to stay in. So I think we're now starting to see people get out there and maybe not run the risk of the weather catching them out. At least getting something on the board is always going to be better than leaving it to the very last minute. Because if you make that one mistake in Nakamura Rally, as we saw Jan Halliday do, that is your session done.
Yeah, and started from the back here, I think it's the worst than many of the tracks. It's horrible when you have to start last around in an Imola circuit where overtaking is definitely not that easy. It's very difficult to overtake around this circuit, so I think the last place you want to be is in that bottom 5 or even in the bottom 10 around here. So if you're in that position, then strategy really will be key for yourself and your team around you. So we'll see what laps can get underway now with. We can see Louis Welch heading down in towards Aqua Minerale now. We'll see what he can do at the end of that second sector as he heads his way in towards that next part of the circuit. And he looks like he's let off there. So no continuation there for Louis' lap. We can see a few cars looking to start laps here. Lekomsky on the set of the intermediates now, just heading his way down towards turn number 1. We'll see here what the Veloci Academy driver can do as he heads his way through the first couple of corners here in this circuit there, just dipping into the grass and going a little bit wide there. A bit squiggly here from the McLaren so far, but he'll work his way through the lap and hopefully get himself into more of a comfortable position. We do know that drivers don't really practice the wet that much, so that's why we don't always see them, setting the times alight on the wetter compounded tyres. We can see there the two F7Rs just on an 8 lap now. Just moving out the way there for Shimon to head his way through. And we'll have a little look there at the race clutch drivers. We've got, I think, those two coming across the line. So Lenny Pinter, what can he do? As he heads across the line there. Goes into P3 there with the 22.7. So the track isn't really getting that much better, is it?
Not in a hurry, no. Interestingly, Jan has done 3 laps on these tyres. Hasn't improved his time. Still 22.7. Still in second, admittedly. So it's still a decent comparative time. But we're not seeing those really hard push laps yet. I think people are still expecting the track to dry up a bit more. 8 minutes left on the clock. It could well dry up some more, but again, I think people are taking their chances a little bit with the weather. I think people need to be really getting on with it. It could be that they're trying and they're invalidating all over the place, so I'm not keeping an eye on everybody. But we have had some more times on the board. Lenny Pinter for race clutch, currently third, 122.780. There's 800s behind Jan Halliday. So the 22s, 23s are a little bit more representative. I think the SRC pair still have something to find. King Goendorp over the line with a 24.9. Philip Sauser with a 22.5 gets the top of the tree for now in the TF10 Red Bull, gets out of the way. But that was 3 laps on those tyres as well. So people really working these intermediates as well, not just doing the 1 lap wonder that we see on the softs.
Of course, and we can see that Keane Godendorp with only a 124.9, so lots of time needs to be gained for him in the Williams. As we can see, Joel Marquardt there to separate the two Veloce Academies. In P7 is the TF10 driver. We've got the 2 Ferraris now on laps as well. We'll see where Tomac is just coming through in towards the final corner. We'll see what he can do here in the Ferrari. Can he get himself in towards that top 5 as he heads up towards the line? Goes up into P2 there with a 0.578. Nice opening lap from him. And then we can see as well his teammate Dylan Warren heading down in towards the Ravazzas. What about Nico Benz? He's invalidated, so no lap time can be set from him on this occasion. So we'll see what Dylan Warren can do here. If he can try and get himself out of that bottom of that bottom 5 elimination zone. Obviously, Cabena's right on the cusp of that, isn't he, with a 135.3. So obviously he needs to find a representative lap. What can Dylan do? Goes to the top there with a 0.384. So the track is getting a lot better here. As Jan Halliday with a 0.153.
Yeah, I'm watching Ika Baena's car. It is all over the place. It is absolutely squiggly. It's like he is swimming out there at the moment. So I don't know that this is going to be a particularly representative lap for Ika Baena, but we will see. But that car does not look settled in the slightest. Rain is almost stopped now, so those times are going to continue to fall. It's going to be last man over the line to get their best time. But who's going to be the ones that fall by the wayside? Only one way to find out.
Well, we can see Reece Linton now heading down in towards the final couple of corners here. We'll see what he could do as he heads out to Vravatsa 2 as Julian Klaffenbach there goes into third as his teammate Tamas Gell goes into second. Reece Linton enters back into the pit lane. What about Tiger Hardy here? What can he do? Can he get himself out of that bottom 5 elimination zone? Because joining him so far is Nico Benz, Reece Linton, his teammate Race Imtiaz, and Harry Lai, who's just headed back in towards the pits. So Harry and Rose, they're not getting the best times on the board. You know, quite far off the 122, so they've got a lot of a lot of time to find on their laps. So we'll see what Tucker Hardy can do here as he heads his way through in towards the very anti-alta here. As he just hits onto the brakes there, just throws the car in, tries not to invalidate, as that's a horrible place to get an invalidation on circuit, and then just passing one of the TES drivers will be Tiger Hardy down the hill into Vravatsa 1. Will hit it on the brakes to the left, then he'll go back towards the left at Vravatsa 2, then he'll get his foot on the throttle quite early as you head up towards the line here. What will it be for Tycho Hardy? Should be a top 10 time, surely. Goes up into P8 there, so very nice lap time here from Tycho.
Yeah, very nice indeed. I was a little bit unfair to Ika Baena. He still managed to get a top 10 time with a 22.593, despite the fact that his car looked like it was all over the place when I was watching him doing his lap. Philip Sauer back out on track, 22.511 for him, sees him into 5th place. Nelson Alves also comes back out in the TES Mercedes, 122.815 for him inside the top 10. 2 drivers yet to get a time on the board, Reece Linton and Nico Benz for Race Clutch and MVR respectively. Louis Welch back out on track, as well as Harry Liza. Harry really not wasting any time, getting straight back out there. Fresh set of enters on the Aston Martin, but that rain is really, really light. So we're not gonna see slicks this time, but the track should be good enough for that time to continue to fall.
Yeah, I think we could see some slicks maybe at the end of Q2, at the start of Q3, which I think could be quite interesting to have a bit of a wet to dry Q3. That would be quite, I think, fascinating and will create quite a good and uncertain ending to qualifying where you don't really know who will take pole position. But now we can see drivers looking to start their final laps, or, well, some of them heading out onto the circuit to start their final laps on the intermediate tyres. Now, Alves now just heading through into the final corner here, and I'm looking in the chat and I can see lots of support for TFton and also a lot of support here for TES. People looking surprised that Jan's at the top, which I think's a little bit mean. I think Jan's a brilliant driver, isn't he? You know, as I said before, he's brilliant at Imola, so I wouldn't be too surprised that he's at the top of the timing so far. So we'll see what he can do in Q2 and Q3. And also, hello Liam, I hope you're doing well, mate. Welcome in through the stream. And Nelson, a big slide coming through the exit of the chicane. That could have easily ended him in the wall. That would have been a scary moment there for the Mercedes.
Keeps going though, and yeah, very, very tentative on the brakes coming into Toza. So what's he going to be able to do? Yeah, he's backing out of this lap. He's going to recharge the battery to go for probably one last lap towards the end, and of course staying out of the way of those that are on a hot lap. Very much into the Banzai phase. The last 3 minutes of qualifying now, or 2 minutes remaining of it. Who's got what it takes to get that golden lap out there? Everybody everybody is on the move. So now the track gets very, very busy, although most drivers are actually in the first half of the track. Again, spacing, bit of an issue. Taika Hardy is the last man to come back out on circuit. So it's going to be all guns blazing now till the end of the session.
Yeah, well, the rain is getting a lot lighter now, isn't it? As we can see on board with Felipe just heading out of the final corner now. It looks like the track started to find a little bit of a drier line so far. As Felipe goes to the top there with the 122.132. So a nice lap from him, indeed, in the TF10 car. Then we've got a few more cars heading through. We've got Harry Light heading down now in towards the next couple of corners here, up by just over 0.6 of a second in that second sector, so a lot of time still to find in this final part of the lap. He needs to find, 6 seconds in the final parts of the lap. So we'll see what he can do as he heads his way down in towards the final couple of corners now. Goes Harry Line towards Ravazza 1, then into Ravazza 2. What can the SRC car do? Needs to find his way out to qualifying, as he can't set another lap here, as he will not cross the line in time. And he goes up into P6, does Harry Line. Brilliant lap there from the SRC car. And that shows us, Chris, that the track is getting very, very dry, as Harry found a massive improvement on that lap.
Oh, and there's the penalty. Well, and look how clumped they all are heading down to Ravazza. So any wonder that the penalty is all kicking in. But is everybody going to go over the line? Of course, everybody wants to get their bit of real estate. They all need to just find a bit of space. The 5 grid place penalty is academic because the server will be reset anyway. But is anyone going to be caught out? We don't know how much time is left because, of course, the caution flag won't disappear.
11
oh,
seconds.
Nico Benz is overtaking somebody. Just as he was winding up to go, 5 seconds left on the clock. Is everyone going to get over the line?
Ooh, they will.
Only just. But look how clumped up it is. Look at goodness me, Nico Benz actually racing somebody. That's one of the, I think it's Alpha Towers has gone off the road.
Oh!
And that's an impact for Nico Benz. That is his day done. Oh, goodness me. That got very, very scrappy.
Well, I'm going to pretend I didn't see a swipe there from Nico on the back of that AlphaTauri. I'm going to pretend I didn't see that, because I did see it. As we can see, Keen Golden up there, go up into second place there, just behind the back of Felipe Nelson Alves. Into third, TES looking very strong here in the first part to qualify. We can see as well, Reece Linton on boarded now, as Jan Holiday goes to the top. And that is a 7/10 gap to Sousa in second. What a lap time there from Jan Holiday.
Absolutely. So again, that's a lot of that will be track evolution. So more lap times to come. Here come, I think it's the raceless Alpha Tauris coming over the line. Pepinta second. What about Reece Linton? Where can he go? Sixth for him. The McLaren's next. Third for Lukomsky. What about Grosspoint? That's fourth for the second McLaren. The Aston's now coming over the line, and that was the tower is changing too often for me to be able to deal with it. But who's going to be caught out? Well, we know Louis Welch can't do any more. That's Harry is out from setting what looked like a fairly decent lap early on. He is done. Ika Bayena can't improve. We know Nico Benz can't do anything. Taika Hardy invalidated. So there is your bottom 5 already set. But that got very, very dicey. Tomac Paragic just about squeezing through. 0.3 of a second to the good for him. But you've got to feel a bit for Harry Lai there. It looked like he was safe, well inside the top 10. But then again, the track evolution all came good towards the end.
It did indeed, and well, look at that gap there. 0.3 between Jan Holiday and Lenny Pepinta there. The TES versus the Race Clutch tonight could be the night for TES. As I've said before, they haven't been in the top 10 once. Their best finish was 12th, and I believe their best qualifying has been 7th. So if they can get a pole to victory today, that would be quite remarkable, I think, wouldn't it, for the team? And easily would put them ahead of MVR in the standings. So we can see in a second the final classification of the Q1 runnings, and it will be Jan Holiday who goes quickest for TES ahead of Lenny Pepinta in second for Race Clutch. Then we have Szymon Lukomski in P3, followed by Julian Klafferbach in P4, Joel Marquardt in 5th ahead of Max Grosspointner in P6, Felipe Sousa in P7, Keen Gardendorp in P8 ahead of Nelson Alves in 9th, and Race Imtiaz in the top 10. Then we have Reece Linton in P11, followed by Dylan Warren in P12, Wilson Hall 13th for NVR, brilliant for them to get themselves into Q2. Then we have Tomasz Gal in P14, followed by Tomac Parajic in P15. Then, unfortunately, we did lose Harry Lai, Ika Bayena, Taika Hardy, Louis Welch, and Nico Benz.
Well, yeah, again, track evolution catching a few drivers out, but there were some invalid laps towards the end. Again, as we always see, time and again, everybody bunches up. I mean, the penalty's neither here nor there, but it's just no one wants to be the, everyone wants their bit of real estate. They want their space, but they want to leave it to the last second. And again, we just see this big clump of drivers all tripping over each other, and you've got no room for error at that point. The rain has stopped. Ooh. So is anyone going to chance dries to start with, or are we going to see what I think is going to be the safer option, a few laps on the inters to try and get rid of any remaining water?
If you have a look on the screen, Chris, if you look at your tyres, you can see, of course, that the ones are selecting softs. Race Imtiaz and Tamas Gal and Lenny Pepinta have all selected soft tyres. to head out onto circuit, possibly, unless they've been, a little bit of a prank to us. We can see now the two TESs are on track, and that will be Jan Hardy on a set of the intermediate tyre. So he doesn't think that the softs are the better tyre at the moment. We can see as well, that'll be Dylan Warren, or no, it won't. It'll be Tomac Prajdic going out on the inters as well. So they don't think that the softs are the best tyre at the moment. And I can see, Nelson was right behind his teammate, tucked in behind Jan in towards turn 1 there. So yeah, it looks like inters are going to be starting to get the session. And then surely, Chris, after these first runs, we should see a few soft runners out.
Yeah, it's not going to take long for the inters to be swapped out for the softs. Anyone coming out on softs now is just chucking their car into the wall. There's no point coming out on softs at this point in time. But certainly by the time we hit Banzai phase, the whole field, assuming it doesn't rain again, but you're saying that we're not expecting any more rain for pretty much the rest of the session. So once this water has been cleared away, or at least once the racing line is clear, I would expect to see everybody on softs to get their Banzai laps done. But the problem with that is that the dry line is very, very narrow. So if you kind of step away from that, even by a few pixels, you've got no chance. You are cannoning yourself to the wall.
Of course, and I think if you hit the wall at high speed, the chances of you saving it and getting away, without a wheel being popped off is quite unlikely. So I wouldn't take the risk just yet of going out on a set of the soft tyres unless you're a little bit more crazy and you've got a little bit more of that, that hostility in your bones more than others who want to take it a bit more safe, because a lot of people are going out on the inters, so you're not going to really lose that much by going on and joining those on the inters than you would on the softs, because we know if the track gets dry, everyone else has got the same chance as you at the end. So you're not. It's not like you're being sort of disadvantaged if you start and go out on the softs now. The inters now. So we'll see what lap times can get underway now. We can see Nelson Alves heading into turn 1. His teammate Jan Hardy following in just behind. Then we have Prajdic in 7th place. He just following in behind those two. So we'll see the first laps get underway now, and then Keane follows them, and then hopefully if you will go out on this set of the softs in around, I'd say about 5 minutes time.
We will see. I think personally, I think it's a little optimistic, but I would certainly expect by the end of the session that everybody will be out on softs. I'm riding on board with Tomac Prajdic. He has just come through Toza now, chasing the two TES Mercedes up the hill towards the Pirotella. Hard enough to get this corner right in the dry. It seems a simple double apex left-hander, but it's really easy to wander off the road, as it is actually in quite a few places. Oh, and that's a big slide from the Ferrari of Prajdic. Does manage to catch it, but he is pushing a little bit too hard. The tyres thinking, there ain't that much traction out here just yet, youngster. And he's carrying on nonetheless, so he may as well finish the lap as he comes through Grassini. The chicane has various names, but Grassini is what it's currently called. Down towards Ravazza once more. Again, I have buried many a virtual lap into that gravel trap, as that downhill braking zone is a bit of a difficult one, as that's a 20.5 from Jan Halliday. And yeah, I'm not surprised Prajdic decides to bring that one in. So we're already 2 seconds a lap quicker than we were at the end of Q1.
Yeah, and the two TESs there, separated by 0.7 of a second. Jan Halliday is storming laps on there to start off the session. We can see as well the two TF10s coming through in towards the final part of this lap. A purple sector there for Felipe Sousa, it says on my screen, but we don't actually know if that is correct as he heads his way down now in towards the two Ravazzas. We'll see what he can do on this lap. Can he try and get any quicker than Jan Halliday's 20.590? Joe Marquardt there, a 21.126. What can Felipe manage as he heads up towards the line at 21.2? So that lap from Jan is looking even better now, as we can see 3 people not even be able to challenge it close enough or even get close to his time.
Yeah, that is quite a statement there from Jan Halliday. But again, we will see how well that sticks. One of the McLarens now on their way out is Max Grosspointer. Again, intermediate still sticking a few more drivers considering the softs at the moment. I think it's still too wet for it at the moment. We're still seeing a few cars just sliding around a little bit too much for the softs to be a viable option just yet. We're getting there. I don't think we are there just yet, but Max is going to have potentially the track to himself, as we can now see Nelson Alves bring his Mercedes in. Have we got a soft runner?
We have indeed. Reese Linton heading out to track on a set of the soft tyres, and about 20 seconds after, Max Grosjean went out on a set of the Inters. So that's interesting here. Now, the question is, what tyre's quicker? Well, we'll know in around 2 minutes' time once they've both set their laps, but I wouldn't go past taking a set of the softs now, because look, the track is getting drier. The rain's been stopped for what, the past 7 minutes? So I could see people going out on the softs now. I think it's definitely very viable. We can see more people heading out onto track, and I believe all will be on the set of the softs. Yes, Lenny, Julian. We can see a few more. I think Dylan as well is heading out onto track. We've got one of the F7Rs that'll be race Imtiaz on a set of the softs. So Max might have played this wrong. We could see him go back in and then come back out on a set of the softs if it carries on, because it's looking like the softs are the favoured tyre. We can see as well Tamas Gal, Lenny Pepinter, Julian, Reese, Race also, all out on the set of the softs. So we'll see, what does Max Grosjean do here? Surely he will be going back in.
Well, he's still got plenty of time on the clock, so if he chooses to complete this lap, that's absolutely fine. Let's see what he chooses to do. And yes, he is choosing to complete the lap. Does look like everybody is going for those soft tyres. So Max probably going for a banker lap at the moment. Maybe he feels now is not the right time for those soft tyres. Only time will tell, as you say, Nathan. But I'd have thought it was a little bit too early. Oh, as Max nearly wanders off the road, coming out of the Tamburello. Now as he comes through the Villeneuve chicane towards Toza. Car's still sliding around a little bit. I mean, it's not wildly flying off the road, but it is a little bit squiggly. So those on the softs may have to be a little bit delicate with the right foot for the time being. But yeah, we will see. As that's Nelson Alves now coming out on a set of the soft tyres as well. Who was our first man out there? It was Reese, wasn't it? That was the first on the soft. So he's just about to start his lap. So he's going to have to be very careful that he stays well with, essentially stays within the wet lines. He stays on that dry line, but he's going to be accented by water everywhere he goes. Bit of a delicate break through Tamburello. Easy on the throttle on the way out. So he is still being careful with it. We'll see if it's going to yield. Down 2 gears for the Villeneuve chicane. As Max actually goes quickest with a 20.4, and Reese really struggling to slow the car down, get it turned into Toza. It's still fastest sector 1 though, so the softs could well be the tyre to go for now, but we will see it around the rest of the lap. Piratella now downhill into Acqua Minerale. Last time I said that in commentary terms, I said the car, and that's an invalidation. Again, it's Acqua Minerale that is catching drivers out. The downhill braking is an absolute pig to get right, and it has caught Reese Linton out. So we won't know whether his lap was going to be good for pole.
Well, his teammate will make it through there quite nicely. Lenny Pepinter now 54.135 for that second sector split. So we'll see what he can do on this lap. You're looking around 1 minute 13s, 1 minute 14s for the peak lap times in on a dry set in Q3, so they're still around 7 seconds off of what we should expect by the end of the next session. So we'll see what Lenny can do. This should be a decent lap here, a 118, 119. Maybe it's not the softs in favour. No, a 21.0 there from Pepinter. Maybe the softs just aren't ready yet. We can see Julian Klaffenbach go to the timings. He goes up into third. What about the 2 Ferraris there, heading out of the final few corners? As Racing Imtiaz goes into 9th. Dylan goes into P4. What about Prajic? Can he get himself any higher than where his teammate is as he heads out at the final corner? Big slide there from the Ferrari as he heads up towards the line. Godendorp goes into P5. Prajic goes into P6. So, yeah, so far, the Inters looking quicker, and the odds were against Max, wasn't they, realistically, when we saw him go out on the Inters compared to those all going out on the softs.
Yeah, but I think drivers are now getting the rubber down a bit more, finding their feet, a little bit more confidence going on. Watch Tamas Gal. He's really attacking the corners a little bit more now in the R8G. So coming up towards Piratella once again. So what can he do? As Wilson Hall, there we go, sets the top of the timing sheet alive on the soft tyres. So it just needed another lap, really. I may have been too early to call it, and that's Gal. He's backed out of it. He's letting I think it was one of the AlphaTauris through. So we definitely have crossed over to where the softs are going to be the favoured tyre now. I think Max was still right to go out on the Inters. I'd have stuck with the Inters for that one lap as well. But we'll see. I mean, now there's no other choice. You've got to go for the soft tyres. They are clearly proving themselves to be the better tyre. You still have got to be careful, though. There's still enough water to catch you out just at the wrong time. So the drivers have got to be careful with it, but now is the time for the softs to come good.
Of course, here we can see Nelson Alves now heading out the final corner. He heads back into the pit lane. What does Jan Herde choose to do? Because yet again, he's so far been looking, I'd say, overall the quickest driver out on track in terms of what he did on the softs at the the inters at the start, and now what he's going to look to do here on the soft tyre, just heading his way down now in towards the final few corners. Can Jan Herde get himself back to the top as Wilson Hall set a brilliant lap, didn't he, for the MVR team? And Jan goes back into the pits, but that would have been a brilliant lap time because he was around the 1 minute 19s, I think, now as he was heading up towards the line. So the softs, I think, are looking to be a little bit stronger now, as you can see Wilson Hall head his way back round as he heads back into the pit lane. So, funny story is MVR and TES are at least 60 points back from the top 8. Q1, Jan Herde topped the timing. So far in Q2, Wilson Hall for MVR is topping the timing. So, 9th and 10th in the championship are looking very strong around Imola.
But you can always rely on the weather to stir things up a bit, can't you? Or wet weather to stir things up a bit. Well, we're hitting the Banzai phase now, and especially with the track continuing to improve now, we've definitely crossed over into that soft tyre territory. You will absolutely have all 15 remaining cars all scrapping, and I've just spotted one of the Alpines is first to break cover. Both of them may well have broken cover at the same time. Now we're going to have an absolute flood. Everybody's going to get back out there as quick as we can, and once again, everyone's going to trip over each other as they always do. But yeah, now the Banzai phase will really live up to its name. Everybody's streaming out onto circuit, and it is just going to be an absolute brawl. But whoever is last in the queue potentially has the track in its best condition, but has got to deal with everybody else ahead of him. If they make a mistake, they could well be caught in it.
Of course, here we can see Lenny Pepinto now heading out to circuit first of the lots. And you look at the gaps there. Wilson Hall down to race Imtiaz, 1.2 seconds, but that is over a drying track over a session. So those lap times, realistically, if you look at them now, mean absolutely nothing because we'll be easily into the 19s and 18s by the end of this session. So yeah, you might as well have no time on the board at this point, you know, unless you're Wilson Hall, who's got a bit of an advantage if people make a mistake. But then again, you know, I can't see that being anywhere near safe here in this session. Obviously, we've got Reese Linton, Shimon Lekomsky and Tamashko without times, so they've also got to get a very good lap time underway. And well, it will still be Lenny Pepinto that leads them off down towards Aqua Minerale. And look at them all, Chris, all together, looking to just find space, looking to try and get ahead of the others if they can, because they also need to warm up their tyres. That is the key thing they need in a very, well, I wouldn't say damp, but a very cold circuit.
Yeah, absolutely. So you can pretty much reach out and grab hold of the car next to you. It's like London and rush hour at the moment.
Dylan Warren! Just went on the grass and overtook 6 cars.
Well, here comes Wilson Hall. He was last man out on track, and he's now caught at the back of the train. So, again, are we going to face people getting caught out for... There's only a minute left on the clock. So Wilson's going to have to hope that the queue gets on with it, or he's going to have the Banzai past everybody, because that is not much time at this slow crawl, and he's realised it. He's now getting on with it, and he's gotten past a couple of cars. But I think he realises that the clock is very close. There we go. Now cars are just leapfrogging each other. This could get very, very nasty. Yeah, as just like someone saying in chat, watch out for someone getting disqualified. It is absolutely possible. And now people are nearly coming to a halt on the way down towards the Ravazza. You don't have time.
No, they're literally stopped. They're literally not moving down towards the final corner. Joe Marco there, getting on with things. Hitting the back of racing into the final corner. Hits another one. We got Wilson Hall looking to get red as well. It's all chaos here. It's like watching Monza back in 2019 in the real Formula 1 season where none of them made the line. It's going to be close. 13 seconds. Can Felipe Sousa make it to the line? I think he should there with about 7 seconds to spare. But underway now with the final lap times here in Q2. Lenny Pepinto already up by 2 whole seconds in the first sector alone. All those lap times, like I said, mean nothing now.
Yeah, absolutely. So the track in a much better condition than it was. But this is what everybody was wanting. They wanted their bit of real estate while still getting across the line. But look what it's done. It is a huge snake of cars. They are just tripping over each other. The one that's ironically in the best position is Felipe Sousa. He's got a decent amount of space, comparatively speaking, ahead of him. then technically the track will be at its driest, at its grippiest for him. So he's kind of timed that really, really well. More luck than judgment, I would have thought. The first laps are coming in. It's going to be race class across the line first.
We'll see what Olympia Pinter can do. He'll go to the top, surely, with a 14.2. Massive improvements here, 6 seconds improvements. Reese Linton goes to the top, looking to try and find someone else coming through. Lukomsky goes into second as Klaffenbach goes to the top. Now Pinter down to P4. What about Wilson Hall coming through? We can see Max Grosh putting down to P6. Parajic goes up into fourth as Dylan Warren goes up into third place. We can see now Jan Herde dropping out. Halliday's out of Q2 as Tamashka goes to the top. And a driver who I was saying was looking to try and take pole is now out in this second part of qualifying, and I think, Chris, that was all down to them all being so close together, they're just tripping over each other. No one could really get enough space to get a good lap in, but we can see the drivers out in qualifying are Wilson Hall, Felipe Sousa, Sakeen Godendorp, Jen Hardy and Joe Marquardt.
Oh dear, that just got very, very nasty. But no, not taking that away from the RAG pair. Both of them taking 1-2 in Q2. Tamas Gal, Klaffenbach in that order. Lukomsky for Velocity Academy. Then Dylan Warren in the Ferrari. Nelson Alves for CES. Reese Linton for Race Clash. Parajic in the second Ferrari. Pinter for Race Clash. Reyes Imtiaz for F7R. And Mass Growth Point takes on the last of the top 10 spots.
Yeah, when you could see at the end there, the lap times, the people, I think there was someone, I think it might have been Jan, who was up in around P4, and he just dropped down one by one by one by one, and you could just see the lap times all flurrying through. You couldn't call who was going to make it through to Q2 and who was going to lose it in Q2, but you could see at the end of that final corner, there was actually contact being made between drivers, so I'm not sure if there's any sort of damage to anyone, because so it looks like a few made a bit of contact here and there, just rubbing against each other, just trying to get themselves ahead and make it to the end. And Sousa, who we thought had the best conditions, unfortunately, made it through in 12th position, so he won't be taking part in Q3. But we can see now a few drivers already heading out onto circuit for the start of the final part of qualifying, and we have, what's that, 1, 2, 3, 4, I think 6 teams making it through towards Q3. Both of the race coaches, both of the Veloce Academies, both of the RHGs, and both of the Ferraris.
Yep. And we have one TES, and who was the other one?
F7R.
F7R, yes. Resin, yes, absolutely. So I think it was Parajic was first to break cover. It was indeed the Ferrari Esports youngster. I always say youngster. Everyone is far younger than me. Everybody knows I am the old boy of esports, and I make no apology for it. Not my fault. I'm old enough to be everyone's dad. There we go. So just 2 cars breaking cover early, Parajic and Alves. Interesting. I thought we'd see a few more coming out than that, but there's no weather element to deal with here. There may well still be a little bit of damp out there, but as you said earlier, Nathan, the track is going to be cold. Yeah. So the drivers are going to have to work a little bit harder to get the optimum sun. I think the sun is now starting to peek through the clouds. So the track is going to improve, but the session, of course, not very long. So they're not going to enjoy a huge improvement from the sun on this session.
Of course, and well, they've only really used one set of softs, so they've got enough to do 2 or 3 runs here in Q3 on a new set, of course. And with obviously us having a restart, it doesn't matter if they've used their softs now, because they don't, that they're going to have a brand new set to use in the race when we make that lobby restart. So you can go all Hail Mary now and do as many laps as you like on a set of the softs, because you have the tyres to do so. We can see now Tomac Parajic now heading through in towards the first parts of the lap. We'll see what he can do on his first run here in Q3. Of course, all these drivers in the top 10 looking to fight for pole. So, guys, in the chat, let us know who you think will take pole position there. Chris, I'm going to ask you the question, as I always love to do. Who's going to take pole here tonight?
Well, it's a bit of a mixed grid, isn't it? Somewhat figuratively, literally speaking. But we are still seeing, the usual names coming towards the... Well, I was going to say usual names coming towards the top, but of course, the team that is leading the championship isn't in Q3. So we have neither of our Williams pair in our top 3. So we are seeing a very different lineup. Oh, who to bet on? That's a tricky one. Now the track is a bit dry, you kind of, return a little bit more to the standard pecking order. Who to put money on? Who to put money on? Who am I going to go with? I'm going to go with an outside bet, I'm going to go Reyes Imtiaz for F7R.
Of course, as we can see the first lap times coming through, it will be Tomac Prajicic with a 13.345. We've got Nelson Alves heading through the final corner as well. What can he set as he heads up towards the line? Will it be provisional pole? Yes, it will. A 13.289. Now, my bet for pole, I'm going to go with the Veloce Academy man himself, Max Grosspointner. I think he's got it in his grasps today. He's always been quick at this circuit. My last bet would have been Jan Halliday, but unfortunately he got knocked out in Q2, so I can't go with that. So I will go with Max Grosspointner for pole position. But make sure, guys, to let us know who you think will take pole. We can see there. Benny Pabos says Tamash for pole. He's staying in P10 at the moment. Obviously, definitely a man we can bet on for pole position. So we can see that as well. We can see there. And Banyus, I think, saying Hajra Tamash, which I mean should be some sort of support, I think, to Tamash. And I believe Hungarian. Unfortunately, I'm not knowledgeable in that language, so I'm not exactly sure what it means, but I'm sure it's in good terms. As we can see now, some more laps getting underway. We've got Reyes Imtiaz here. Chris, your bet for pole, heading down to technically turn 2. We'll see what he can do on this lap.
Yeah, it is indeed. Turns 2, 3, and 4 make up Variante Tamburello. And then down towards Variante Villeneuve. Ride the curves as much as you dare. Well, you can certainly flirt with them more now that they are all much drier than they have been all session long. Just about catches the apex, and Toza goes for a bit of a wide line, then cuts back in. Now up the hill towards Piratella, the double left-hander. Now a little bit more to the driver's liking now that it is dry. Downhill towards Acro Minerali. Still a difficult pair of corners to get right. No such trouble for Reyes Imtiaz. Towards Grassini. Catch your braking points. Ride the curves as much as you dare. You're still flirting with that off-track area because you want to maximize your exit speed. You're on the gas for quite a few seconds. Coming down the hill now towards Rivazza. Again, very easy to misjudge your braking point. Downhill braking point into the gravel, usually for me. But pretty clean lap then from Imtiaz for F7R, and that's third at 13.380 for the AlphaTauri.
Of course, and we can see there a invalidation for Max Grosspoint. Now we'll see what Lenny Pipinta can do as he heads his way down into Ravazza 1 and Ravazza 2, the final two corners here on this circuit. We'll see what can the race clutch do. Can he put himself onto provisional pole here tonight? It's currently Nelson Alves with a 13.2. It will now be Lenny Pipinta with a 13.089 there. A brilliant lap to set the scenes here in qualifying. We can see a few more cars coming through there. Klaffenbach goes into second place. What can Tamash Gal do? Can he take provisional pole away from Pipinta? No, he can't. He will take a provisional front row. What about Dylan Warren as he heads his way up towards line? We can see there Lekomsky goes up into third. What can the Ferrari do as Reece Linton goes up to the top there with a 13.075. Dylan Warren goes into P5. The gap there between P1 and 2 is what? 14 thousandths of a second, and it's two teammates of race clutch of Reece Linton and Lenny Pipinta. Now that is something they would be happy with. If they could go out to this race, go out to this qualifying, P1 and P2, they would be loving it right now.
Absolutely so, and that will really help them in their battle in that, well, really battle for second at the moment, with Williams holding that comparative stranglehold on the top spot. As Max Grosspointner finds the only bit of wet track he can find, happens to be off circuit in the first place, on his way back towards the pits in the McLaren, having not got a lap on the board just yet. Alves and Paradis already back out on circuit in the Mercedes and Ferrari respectively. Reyes Imtiaz is back in pits as well. So it's not going to be long before we hit the Banzai phase for the final time of the night. Yes, so 14,000 between the top two, less than a tenth between the top five.
Well, Nelson Alves gone out very early. He's already on an outlap at the moment on his set of the soft, so he's really played it early, hasn't he? There's not left long to. I don't think there's much time for him to go around, go back in, go back out again. I don't think there's enough time for that. You can see him on an outlap, but heads back into the pit lane, so he's going to go again with the others at the end of the session. We can see Prajicic here actually up on his time by 51 thousandths in that first sector. Now, is he going to be setting this time? He heads down in towards the next few corners now, up in towards Piratella at turn number 9. Just throws the car in there, tries not to run wide too far on the exit, and then down in towards Acqua Minerale. You should just head the car in there, just be feathering on the throttle and the brakes on the entry and the exit, and then you head down towards, as you call it, Chris Grassini. I've heard it as many different names, this corner. It's a little bit like No Name in Belgium, isn't it? It's got that many corner names. Everyone's got a different name for it. You might as well make one up of your own.
Very true. Very, very true. As the Ferrari esports driver comes down towards Ravazza for the last time of this lap. 3.5 minutes of the session to go. Oh, flirts with the off-track limits on the exit of Ravazza. What's this going to be? It's 1:31.64. Puts Paragic into fourth.
Well, we can see the gaps here. Look at that. 97 thousandths. Not even a tenth separates the top 6 here on this grid. 14 thousandths. 100th separates first and second. So the fight for pole is literally between anyone here. It's that close on the time. As you can see there, between Tomek and Dylan, they're separated by less than a 100th of a second, and we've got Lekomsky in the middle of them. That shows how close this grid is. We can see though at the back, further back, we've got Alves, who's 2/10 off. Then we've got Racing Tiaz, who's 3/10 off, and then of course Matt Scroshburner, who is yet to set a time here in this session. So it's all going to come down to those three to see what they can do, to see what they can nestle through. Obviously, having those invalidations or just not good lap times. We can see Reese Linton now going to be the first man out onto circuit. Provisional pole here so far for Reese Linton. Now the question is, can he finish it off? Because I expect many people to try and beat that 1:13.075.
Well, we are about to find out, as, like you say, everybody streaming out onto circuit. This puts Paragic at a disadvantage. Does he have time to get in, get reshoed, and get out again? Don't reckon he does, but we will see. He's got to come back out on track with at least 1:30, I'd say, on the clock. So the last man out there, obviously not including Tomek, is Dylan Warren. Tomek has parked here. I think he realized he was not going to have enough time to come back out, so no point trying. So his best, 1:13.164, currently sees him into fourth. The rest of the field, predictably bunched up as usual. So we'll see who is the next one to get that penalty, considering there's only 10 of you. Well, 9 of you even, because Paragic isn't there. But it is academic, but it still makes me wonder. They're all going to bunch up. They're all going to crawl around.
There we are.
There it is. There it is. Nelson Alves. I forget who it was in chat that actually mentioned earlier that drivers have been disqualified for building up that many grid pace penalties. If we were to serve them, they'd still be here next week.
Yep, indeed. I think it's going to be an interesting ending to qualify here, of course. Now we've got the 2 RHGs who are heading out first with Klaffenbach and Tamás Gál. They're currently sitting 3rd and 7th. They're going out 1st and 2nd here in Q3. Now the question is that going to turn into a 1st and 2nd in qualifying? We'll have to see. Racehutch currently hold that one with Reese and Lenny, but we can see now it will be Julian Klaffenbach to go first, heading down towards turn 1. A bit of lag there for a second from Julian. This isn't good signs. We know that lag affecting quite a bit, so hopefully he can make it through safely here, Chris.
Absolutely so. Well, who's got it in them? Who's got the beans? Who's got that magic lap in them? Let's see then. Klaffenbach, as he comes out of Tamburello, screaming his way towards the second chicane. Again, flirts with the grass at every opportunity, using every pixel. Doesn't get the second apex, though, at Variante Villeneuve. With the field this close, you do not want to be giving anything away to your opponents. Now up the hill. Tozer, done. Piratella awaits. Up over the crest. Does he catch the apexes? He does. Nicely navigated. A little bit uncomfortable on the exit, though, as he comes down the hill. Aqua Minerale down a couple of gears. Oh, that looked a bit ragged edge, but does keep going. For RAG. Now into Grassini. Over the apexes, over the curbs. You've got to ride them hard to get the best lap time. Down once again towards Ravazza. The last chance to bin your lap. Well, certainly is for me, anyway. Does he catch the first apex? Not quite as well as he needs to. Easy for me to say, I grant you. It's a difficult thing when you're out there. 13.267, his best. 13.075, the best. That's a fourth with a 1:13.137, and that's Gál. Tamás Gál, 13.024 at the top of the tree. Who is next? It was Linton. Dylan Warren, the first man into the 12s. 1:12.979 for Ferrari. Who is next? It is Racing Tiaz, 13.078. That was my best bet for pole. He stays fourth. Dukomsky starts 7th. Who is next? He's going to be Gross Pointer. Where can Mass go? No time. So he starts 10th. But next one, last one over the line is Pepinta. His lap is invalid. Wow, Dylan Warren pulled it out of the bag at the last.
Yeah, brilliant lap there from Dylan Warren to take pole here in Imola. And well, we did notice a sneaky little TES into third position. Nelson Alves for TES is going to be in third, but we can see, of course, Dylan Warren takes pole ahead of Tamashgal on the front row, sharing it with him, and then we have Nelson Alves in third, and then we've got Reese Linton in P4, followed by Race Imtiaz there. Just less than a tenth of a second separates him and Dylan Warren. Then we have Lenny Pepinta in P6, followed by Lukomsky in P7, Klavenbach in 8th. We have Prajic in 9th, and then Matt Skrojboy now rounds out the top 10 here on this grid. And Alpine, a first and second, turns into a fourth and sixth.
So quickly it all can change in the blink of an eye. Not even 0.2 of a second, first to ninth. Oh my goodness me, we're in for a fantastic race. Now, this track is not easy to overtake on, so it is going to be about pressure application. First half of the race, unless the weather is going to play a part, I would imagine it's going to be possibly a little bit processional. Most people are probably going to be vying for the strategy to make the difference here, because overtaking is not easy whatsoever. I'm curious to see what the weather would have been if we'd transited to the next session, because I'm nosy like that. Bone dry and burning hot. So I wouldn't be surprised if that is the weather condition that we get. Everybody leaves session. We know this process by now. So everybody now jumping out of the session. So we have to wait for a new lobby to be built. It's not the work of a moment to get everybody out of the lobby and then into the new one, and for the host then to build the grid. It does take a little while to do, so bear with us, and we will get what is going to be a fabulous race underway very soon.
Of course, and while we wait for the lobby to get underway, we will have a quick word from our sponsors over at Sim Racing Centre and GT Omega. And we are back, everyone, after the ending to qualifying. What a finish that was to qualify. We couldn't have really called who would take pole, but in the end it was Dylan Warren with a brilliant lap, the only one to get into the 1:12s on the timings. And of course it was Tamas Gal who heads onto the front row alongside him. So very good for those two here in qualifying, and well, they could definitely give us a very, very good race indeed. And also TES, second row of the grid, third place. This is something they need. You know, they're what? We'll have a quick look at the standings. They're on 69 points at the bottom of the grid. They've got about a 15-point gap to Novus Racing. A P3 wouldn't hurt them in the slightest. It'd be very nice for them to get a P3. But the issue is it's a 32-lap race. There's a lot of time to lose that P3, but there's also a lot of time to gain on second and first. So a lot of work needs to be put in from Nelson. A lot of work needs to be put in from the TES engineers as well to try and get the best strategy for their driver. And also Jan Halliday, we've seen his pace is good. He's starting 14th. There's no reason why he can't work his way up into that top 10.
Yeah, absolutely so. And if we do get a bit of a detonation from some over-enthusiastic breaking into, it's not going to be turn one because turn one doesn't really exist here. So into that first chicane where you've got everybody bunched up, who knows what could happen? It could be almost last the first in some instances. But if the weather stays dry, now the weather is still set to dynamic. We could still see a wet race. We will see what the random weather gods decide to give us.
Yeah,
a wet race here. If memory serves, you're not too keen on that thought.
No, I'm not too keen on a wet race at all, and I'm not too keen on a wet race on a track which can be quite dull in the dry. if there was a wet race here, it would not be. I wouldn't be too happy with it. But you can't control the weather, can you? And it's in Italy, so I'm hoping that it's a little bit more dry and a little bit more on the brighter side. I do know that in Imola, in April, the average temperature is 17 degrees Celsius. So it's not always too warm here in Imola. But then again, I don't think there's any time of year that this game's set in, so I don't think any of that will ever come into play. But if we talk, realistically, we're looking at around an average of 17 degrees here in Imola today, of course, on a Wednesday. A bit different to what we're normally here for. We're normally here on a Friday. Normally this is PCF1, but obviously, esports has been announced once again. Yes, once again. This time for the final 11 race to be held over 2 events, Chris. I'm quite excited, and the thing is, that's why we're not going to see many of those drivers take part in this series. Normally we do see lots of Nicholas Longay take part. On the odd occasion for Ferrari, we've seen Barry Burremand, we've seen Williams, we've seen Ishmael Fassi, Alvaro Caraton. We won't see them take part in here as much now because they're going to be getting prepared for esports, won't they?
Yeah, that is the nature of the beast, isn't it? It's wonderful that we get the chance to talk about the very best in the business. Those that everyone is aspiring to be like and alongside and to ultimately to beat. But the downside of that is when esports calls, that is what their job literally is. So of course they are going to leave league racing and championship racing behind for what is their calling. That is, let's face it, any esports driver aspires to race for the best, with the best, and to beat the best.
Yeah.
So you're going to take the opportunity to perform on a stage like that, which is hoping that turns out really, really well. Very, very much looking forward to it. Obviously, well, we all know what happened first time round. Let's not talk about it. But at least we've got everybody in the same place.
Yeah.
It has all the fundamentals to be absolutely fantastic.
But of course, PSGL always brings out the brilliance. And it all starts because of PSGL. Without PSGL, esports wouldn't be anywhere near what it is today. So, the likes of PSGL I think is what we've got to thank for that. But we've got hopefully about a minute to go before we head our way through in towards the race. We can see there Julian just readying up now. So a few drivers looking to get ready and eager to get underway. 32 laps of this track, Chris. It's a long time. It's a lot of laps going around this circuit. I think we'll see probably penalties galore here tonight.
Yes, I would agree with that, especially if we have any of the slippery stuff. So, yeah, we'll see. I wouldn't mind maybe a dry to wet going on. Throw a bit of strategy in there. Or wet to dry, either or, don't mind. We will see when we get there. I mean, if it's now I've said that, it's going to be one extreme or the other. It's going to be bone dry and burning hot, as it tends to be in Italy, or it's going to be monsoon.
Yeah, one of the two. And I'm hoping, towards the Formula 1, I'm hoping that it'll be a little bit more dry throughout this race. But I can see for a second there, we have the countdown begin, which means, oh, no, we're not. Louis cancelled that. He's like, no, we're not readying up just yet. I think he's just got to finalise the grid quickly before we can head our way through in towards the shot. I saw what Byron put there. Yeah, they all do it. It's brilliant. I love it. That's one of the best commentators in the scene. And also, I do see a lot of from Mr. Elliot himself bullying towards me in praise of Chris. He says you're clear because I don't stick to my word. So I don't know what that means, but there we are.
I think he's still upset that you're not in your Sunday best.
Well, from what I know what that saying means, I'm definitely not going to be doing that on live stream. That is definitely for sure. On Twitch, maybe a little bit different, but then again, we are on Twitch now, so maybe a bit of a change of scenery next
showing
week.
Your Sunday best is your best finery, sir.
Oh.
Well, is your best suit. What you originally meaning what you would go to church dressed in.
Oh, wow.
Goodness me, youngsters, the youth of today.
Yeah,
we do, however, have a countdown.
We do. We've got 15 seconds to go, and then we can head our way in towards what should be a very, very interesting race. So you can stop looking at our faces now. We're going to head our way back in towards the game scene, and you can see the countdown go down. And also, welcome in, Dale. Nice to see you in here, mate. Welcome in. I hope you're doing well. Oh, here we are, Chris. 32 laps of absolute predicted chaos.
Absolutely so. With some fantastic drivers ready to do battle, will TES get that long-awaited top 10 finish? Will they be able to overcome NVR? Again, well, you could argue that Velocity and Tier 10, they're only, 28 points apart. So they're in their own battle for 7th. Then you've got that ferocious fight from 2nd to 6th. And called it. It's raining, and it's raining hard. Oh, my. Well, we don't know how long it's going to rain for. That is going to be the issue. Now, if we have a repeat of quali, then we are going to have a wet to dry transition. But this is going to be very interesting because you made the point earlier, Nathan, that drivers don't tend to practice in the wet.
No.
Qualifying in the wet is one thing. When you are racing wheel to wheel or on top of each other, as it may be, because that's going to be the real thing, how drivers can adapt to these conditions.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to say the least. Turn 2, I'm very worried for those curbs. Let's just hope we don't have a repeat of 2021, what happened there, because I'm sure we will, by many drivers on the grid.
well, we are about to find out.
Indeed we are. We haven't got too long to wait, hopefully. Hopefully we haven't got that long-awaited waiting for players screen as we usually get. But sometimes we do get a little bit of a sound of a beeping countdown in the background sometimes, which we don't see on screen, but we can hear it. I've noticed it recently.
Not had that one myself, but we will await for the lights to get going. Ready for a boring thing? Well, you don't know. Now that the weather has played its hand, anything is possible. Especially if there's going to be a lot of discarded carbon fiber, then we could have battles going on all over the place. It will dry up, says Joey. Well, again, that's kind of copying the qualifying weather, if that is going to be the case. We just got to wait for this. I hate this period of time.
You don't know what to say, do you, ever? You just sit there thinking, what can I say? What can I say? What can I say?
I mean, I end up just waffling. Again, any commentator will have, the stuff of things to say, but when there's literally all you can commentate on is the fact that the puddles are growing, you end up burning that list up very, very quickly. Come on, drivers, let's go soft. Be my guest. See you in the wall is all I'd say. Well, an early way to depart the race, I suppose. Maybe if anyone's gone soft, they didn't want to race tonight. Put it that way.
Well, yeah, that's for sure. I think the drivers that haven't practiced for the wet saw the wet rain and thought, "Oh my god, 32 laps, about an hour of just ugh."
Wow. We're all waiting
here
together.
This is getting worrying now, Chris. We're waiting a little bit too long, aren't we? Here, this is not.
Yeah, this one's low. I mean, we've still got the excited crowd, but I love the fact that roughly in the middle of the shot, I'm assuming you're seeing the same thing as I am. There's one person on their own going absolutely bananas. There's most of the other people that are waving their arms are in groups. He's on his own. He's having a whale of a time. He's loving life. Yeah. I love your optimism.
To the right of the marshal, I think he is, isn't he?
Yes, that's the one.
There he is.
He's having a whale of a time now. He's completely on his own. He doesn't give a monkeys what the weather's doing.
So we have time. Information coming through. Full wet to winter to dry.
Okay, so we're starting in monsoon then. We're going through the entire. Well, that's if we ever get this race.
I'll send you
going.
I'll send you a picture, Chris, of what it looks like. It's an interesting weather dynamic across the race, but we're waiting a little bit long, and this is a little bit worrying of issues, isn't it?
Well, usually what happens here is someone drops out, and then the race suddenly starts. Or never mind, we're going right. 5 lights. It is time in the very wet Imola to wind them up and to let them go. Now, who is going to be bravest on the brakes? Who is going to have the best wet weather legs? Let's be honest. So everyone, vast majority of West, there are a few inter-runners out there. So a few different ideas of what the conditions are going to be doing. Warren from Gal, from Alves, your top 3 at the moment. Lots of side-by-sides going on. Have we had any particular... Oh, yeah, there we go. That's Pinter and Imtiaz have gone off the road. But everyone else has so far survived. Oh, I'm riding on board with Nico Benz. He's bouncing off of people towards the back of the field. Whoa, that was Louis Welch. Very, very sideways. But yeah, the Interrunners, I think, are ruining their decision right now. But it depends how long the heavy, heavy rain's going to be. They're banking on the weather getting better sooner rather than later. But at the moment, that is not the way to go.
Yeah, they're all using each other as brakes, aren't they, in towards these braking zone here. We can see that will be Nico Benz making a move ahead of Ikebana in towards Aquamanara. Then we can see as well that'll be Louis Welch looking to make a move up the inside, gets squeezed and wide there by the Williams, so no move made for him. What about further ahead? We can see here Reece Linton on the back of Nelson Alves here for P3. Nelson's dropping back quickly off of the top two here, so Reece needs to get this move done very, very quick here. We can see there Max Groschporter there improving from 10th to 6th within a lap, so looking to be very quick on these wet tyres is Max. We can see further back as well, Taka Hardy up into P14 already as well. Very good start from him here in this race. But we can see now Reece Linton looking to close in, looking to make a move here ahead of the TES Mercedes. Can he get it done? Down towards turn number 2 here at the Tembrello chicane. Looking to pull to the inside there, close to contact between him and Nelson. To the inside goes Reece, close to contact, can't quite get the move done. He's going to have to go for a switchback here, Chris, but he can't find the move. That's what I say about this track. He can't make moves in these conditions. As now we can see Lukowski trying to make an attack.
Jan Halliday, obviously not listening to you. He manages to, well, he tries to now Klaffenbach, but Klaffenbach having none of that for R8G as he manages to get the TES Mercedes back again into Toza once again. And look at Dylan Warren. He's already a second to the good over Tamas Gal. So Dylan Warren going full wet setup at this point, ignoring the fact that the race is going to dry up later on, or dry up to a certain point. Nico Benz and Ikebana coming together as the Haas goes very deep up into Piratella, still giving racing room to the Williams, but Ikebana loses out on that one. Down into 18th position for the championship leading team, or one of its representatives. King Gondop up into 9th position. So he's up 4 from the start, but it's not where Williams want to be. But for the Ferrari Academy, being well represented by Dylan Warren, he's doing great guns up front. But how long is he going to be able to maintain that pace? If he's gone full west, the drier the course gets, the worse his setup will feel. Of
course, then we can see Dylan Warren now extending that gap once again over 1 second to Tamas Gal in second place. We can see that Dylan Warren also takes the fastest lap, looking very strong here in the wet conditions is Dylan Warren. We can see that further back, King Godendorp here looking to try and make a send on the rear of Wilson Hall, who also had a very good start there, started 11th now in that top 10 for MVR, looking to make it 2 top 10s in a row here for the team, so that will be very good for them indeed. We can see there further back, Ray Simtiaz ahead of Lenny Pepinta there, looking to try and just catch up to the rear of that train. Intermediates for Ray Simtiaz, of course, trying something a little bit different to those on the wet tyres. We can see there Nico Benz and Ikebana once again looking to make contact as they head down into turn number 7 there, obviously fighting for P17 and P18, but remember, points are on offer for everyone here in this championship. As long as you finish the race, even if you're 20th position, you can still get a point here and there. We can see that further ahead once again, Kian Godendorp here looking to make a move and get himself ahead of Wilson Hall. That gap there, 0.3 of a second, but looking to get closer and closer here to the back of the MVR.
Yeah, squabbles going on all over the place. It's that's trouble for Alves. He had a terrible exit from Grassini. Here comes Reece Linton, but gets nudged. He nudges Alves because Alves just very firmly shut the door in his face. And that's all. That's Mercedes gone deep. So now that's an opportunity for the Race Clutch Alpine to jump through. And Lukomsky wants to try and follow suit as well. He's got the traction he needs, deploying some of his ERS, but no. Alves manages to dump the battery, but he's got next to none of it left. He's already used all his battery, but he's trying to get back into third position. Can he do it? Oh no, there's impact to the Alpine, but he manages to hold it. Well played, Reece Linton, managing to hold on to that one. But look at that, Alves already using all his battery. Here comes Lukomsky in the McLaren. A very opportunistic move up into fourth.
Well, I think Alves is one of those who wasn't happy with the wet conditions. We can see as well Groschborn there taps the back of Nelson Alves, who then goes wide, loses a position to Parasic, and also now ended up side by side here with Wilson Hall as they head down to Piratella here. Looking to make a move will be Hall, but backs off at the last second as they head in towards that corner. Then we can see, of course, behind Julian Klaffenbach here looking to make a move ahead of Keane Gundendorp, but has got Jan Halliday right there in his sights, looking to make a move to get himself into that top 10. We can see, though, Look at that gap between Dylan Warren and Tamas Gal. 2 seconds now is the gap, so that shows how quickly Dylan Warren has been able to dispatch the R8G.
Yeah, very true. He's gone full wet setup here. Whereas Gal et al., well, Gal's almost on his own because he's got a seconds gap between himself and Reese Linton. But that's mainly because of the battling that they have all been having with Nelson Alves, who now finds himself down in 7th following his impasse and his slides. So now Reese Linton can concentrate purely on trying to close back in to Tamas Gal, and that is Marquardt into the pits already. So is he ditching those wet sprinters? I'll keep an eye on the Red Bull. Answer is yes. He has gone on to intermediate tyres. It still looks like it's absolutely hooning it down. So is that the right decision? He feels now is the time to cross over. Well, the intermediate drivers aren't being dropped to a huge degree, but they're not gaining either. They don't have an advantage. So that seems a little early to be switching to the Inters.
Yeah, indeed. We'll see, though, if that strategy can work here for Joel Marquardt. Then again, he was down in a lower position anyway. It doesn't hurt to try something a little bit different to the others and try and make something work. As we can see them all file through now in towards Piratella at turn number 9. We can see further back there, Felipe Sousa looking to make a move ahead of Jan Halliday, but just couldn't quite put alongside the TES and get that move complete. But, as I was saying, TES looking to make their best finishing position this race. Obviously looking to finish in P7, P11 at the moment. Would be very good for the team to get themselves into that top 10, but we can see Jan Halliday now under more pressure, and Nelson Alves, started 3rd, now down to P7, hasn't had the best rate start himself, so there's a long way to go here for TES, so lots of pressure is on that team in particular, as there is a lot of pressure here on the rear now. Tamas Gal, who's losing time to Reese Linton. The gap was over a second now, it's just over 5/10 of a second, so Tamas Gal's got a bit of defending, I think, to do in the next couple of laps here. Reese Linton will love to put himself into P2. Nelson Alves into the pits along with Felipe Sousa. They should be going on to, I presume, a set of intermediate tyres.
Along with Ika Baena as well. So, yes, they look like they are switching to the green walls. Well, they are. That is, that's Sousa. It's Baena. Sorry, that's coming again, is it? Yes, Ika Baena that has now come in. So, more drivers opting for those intermediate tyres. So is this now going to diminish the advantage that Dylan Warren has enjoyed? Has he been, is his setup based upon the fact that the weather has been monsoon? And, that's a spin! That's the Harry Lai. Harry Lai in the Aston Martin has had a spin down at Tosa. So he's now very much, he's somewhat out at sea, it looks like. It was a very slow spin, but then wet tyres into Tosa is always going to be fairly slow. So he's not enjoying these conditions at all. I suspect there's going to be another one coming into the pits. But then that begs the question, how long are the Inter starters going to stay on those tyres for?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting what they do. I think realistically they'd probably go into dry. But if the dry comes early, they might be able to go into dry. But it depends, of how long these Inters can last. We can see here the two Veloce Academies getting quite close together here. Max and Shimon there looking to battle. Here's the pit lane. He's open now. Dylan Warren enters the pits. No, he doesn't enter the pits. It'll be Tamas Gal, Reese Linton, Max, Tomek, Kian, Wilson, Louis, Jan, all entering the pit lane now. Sorry, not Louis. Louis will stay out. It'll be Jan, Wilson, all going into the pit lane now for a set of the Inters. Dylan, though, the good thing is, because of the gap he had before, he can afford to go a lot later and still lose time because he'll still be probably a couple of seconds ahead.
Wilson Hall had a very unfortunate moment. He completely locked up, went sideways in the pit lane and hit the wall, which meant he needed a new nose. So out he goes, and there we go. Fastest lap now going to an Inter runner. So that is clear indication that the Inters are the tyre to be on. So although saying that, Lenny Pinter and Nico Ben still having an argument, Inter and Wets on the Haas and Alpine respectively. So who's going to win out on that one? It does look like it's going to be the Inter runners, as Pinter's losing another spot here to Intias. So around the outside, coming through Piratella. Nice move there by the AlphaTauri.
Yep, indeed. Very nice move indeed there from Racing Intias now to P7. And looking to try and get closer to his teammate who's up in P3. Brilliant strategy here from Tiger Hardy, Louis Welch, Nico and Race to obviously start on a set of the Inters at the beginning of the race and make that advantage a little bit more worthy for them. So we'll see what they can do, of course, in the in the remainder of this race, and if they can try and maybe hunt for a victory or a podium here tonight. We can see, of course, Louis Welch here on the rear of Julian Kleffenbach. Dylan Moran has entered the pit lane now, so he's done on those wets. So has Shimon Lekomsky. And Julian Klaffenbach will also join in as well. What about Lenny Pepinter? Does he also enter the pits? He does, and Julian gets a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane.
Ouch. A little bit, was probably just not able to slow down enough at the pit lane speed limiter line. So Lenny Pepinter has chosen to continue on his wet tyres. Curious decision. He's the only car out there now on the blue walls. There's Nelson Alves at another fastest lap with the intermediate tyre. Again, further bolstering the fact that they are now the tyre to be on. Dylan Warren comes back out of the pits in 6th place with Tamas Gao now right on his tail.
Of course, here now, obviously, that gap before was, what, 4 seconds now? It's 0.5 of a second, so Tamas is now going to be putting a lot of pressure if he can on the rear here of Dylan Warren. That gap, then it's 12 seconds to the front runners, so obviously those started on the inters, they'll be a little bit slower, so Dylan shouldn't really take that long to catch back up and get himself towards the lead of the race. But then again, there's still a lot of laps left to go, and if the rain if the rain stops a little bit earlier than expected, we could see the F7Rs and SRC and MVR stay out a little bit longer and then just go straight to a set of the mediums or hards possibly towards the end of this race. But Dylan is bringing that gap down quite quickly. 11.5 seconds is the gap now. It was 12 when he exited the pit lane, so Dylan looking to push on hard now to catch up to the rear. Lenny Pepinter, and then Tamas Galt following him behind alongside Reece Linton. Matt Gross pointing up. Then we got Nelson Alves as well, who's got himself back up into P5 for pitting a lap earlier.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. And Pepinter is continuing still. He's sticking with the full wets. Look at the time he's losing. That is not the right decision to go for, especially if the rain is going to continue to ease. Why is he sticking with the wets? That makes no sense whatsoever. Now, I like that lap time from Max. Well done. 25, absolutely dead. Satisfies my OCD no end. Tamas Galgan very close to Dylan Warren, but not an opportunity to make a move. The Ferrari a little uncomfortable coming through the Tamburello, but not off onto the grass. That gap is disintegrating between Dylan Warren and Lenny Pepinter. And Lenny's just got no traction at all. He's surely not thinking of taking these to dries. There'd be absolutely no point. He's losing so much time already.
Yeah, he's taking it quite a long way, isn't he? Of course, on these wet tyres, and maybe going longer to go into inters, and then hoping that those who are on inters now maybe have to go again or something onto a new set of inters. That could be the plan here from Pepinter. Apart from that, I don't really know what he's trying to do here. I think then again, you know, he was then at last position at turn 1 because of the contact he had with Imtiaz. So he might just be trying something completely different to just try and get something to work here. He's got nothing to lose. So try staying out on the wets here as he heads his way down now in towards the next couple of corners. Ravazza 1 and 2, and then Dylan Warren. Look how quick Dylan's caught up, 6.4 seconds now. A lap ago, that was 12 seconds. So that is it's quite a big gap coming down quite quickly, as we can see there. Marquardt getting a penalty. He's now down to P15 on the gravel. There was Marquardt, so lost a lot of positions there. Also nearly having a spin on the exit of Ravazza 2 as he heads his way down now in towards turn number 1 and 2. We can see Jan Halliday up into P15 now. Of course, pitting a lap earlier. It seems might not have worked for him as he's quite far down on the grid at this current point. We can see further ahead though, Tom Paracic here looking to make a move ahead of Nelson Alves. Ferrari versus Mercedes, TS versus Ferrari here as they head their way through in towards the Villeneuve chicane, then in towards Tosa. Nelson's losing a lot of time to that top pack now, so that one lap later on the tyres has actually cost him a lot of time.
Yeah, look how the grid's really shuffled up. But you got to bear in mind the two Velocity McLarens were literally glued to one another, and now look at them, 9th and 14th. Quite a few seconds apart. So the pit stop strategies have really shuffled up this field somewhat, and already running on board with Dylan Warren. He can now see Lenny Pepinter. He can see his prey, and he will just absolutely dispatch of the Race Clutch Alpine without too much fuss. I cannot fathom why Lenny is sticking with those wets for so long, but you know, he's sticking with it as Paracic gets past Nelson Alves on the run down towards Ravazza. The Ferrari ahead of the TES Mercedes. Still in with a shot of getting that elusive top 10. Klaffenbach ahead of Jean Marquardt for 16th position. Dylan Warren, unsurprisingly, gets the fastest lap of the race thus far, as he is now right on the diffuser of Lenny Pepinter. And with a quick shuffle, and that is the Ferrari up into 5th.
Yep, nothing here that Lenny could do. He's really, he's just got no pace, has he, on those wet tyres compared to those on the newer intermediates. We can see as well, Tamas Gal looking to close in here on the rear of the Alpine, and behind Tamas Gal is Lenny Pabinta's teammate, Reese Linton. So we'll see here what type of strategy happens. You can see there Lenny letting Reese through, and obviously we're doing that. He lets Tamas go through as well. So now, does Lenny defend here to the likes of Max and Tomek? Because I think that's what he's going to try and do, isn't he? Try and hold those up, but I don't think there's much Lenny can do. Look at that there, Max straight around the outside at Aqua Minerale. Yeah, Lenny can do nothing here to stop these. It's a strategy that he tried, but it's definitely failed, I think, here, Chris.
Yeah, I can only assume he's thinking that the raid is going to stop at some point. But yeah, we'll see. We will see what his plan is as it unfolds. We are fast. We're over a third of the way through the race now. Hardy from Welch from Imtiaz, your top 3. And into the pits comes Nico Benz for a fresh set of intermediate tyres. Unless he's going to go complete loon and go for a set of softs. I can't see it, but I'm assuming there's no nose going on to the Haas. Nope, that's a fresh set of green walls for the NVR driver. So Nico Benz will come out, and also into the pits. Is that Pabinta that's finally come in? Yes, it is. So Lenny Pabinta's finally arrested his descent, but will come out last.
Yeah, there, a bit of contact between Alves and Godendorp there and towards turn 1 and 2. Losing a bit of time there, and that allows Lekomsky to go straight through on the both of them now. Into P10 goes of Veloce Academy driver, looking to close in here to the rear of Sousa. We can see further ahead there, Matt's Grossport now looking to close in and make a move on the back of Reese Linton. Max looked strong, didn't he, at the start? He went from 10th to 5th, I think, within the first 2 laps. So he's looking to try and make a few more moves and possibly try and get himself onto the podium here for the Veloce Academy team as he heads his way through in towards Aqua Minerale, then down towards Grassini, Variante Alta, the chicane, whatever you want to call it. Max is looking to try and close in here on the rear of Reese Linton. Further ahead, we can see, of course, the top 3 being closed in very quickly here by Dylan. We're on that gap now, 4 seconds. After you pit, you lose about 22, 23. So Dylan has gained in very, very quickly, and that just shows, doesn't it, Chris? The amount of pace you can have by just having a fresher set of tyres.
Yeah, absolutely true. Bearing in mind when he came out, Tamas Gal was nailed to his diffuser. So yeah, and he's just been able to build up. Now, a lap difference at this point is not going to make a huge amount of difference, but still, Dylan Warren has built up that 1.7, 1.8 seconds. Yeah, it will make a bit of a difference. That is certainly true, but it's not going to be. It's not the entirety of that pace difference. As King Gondor actually gets past Lekomsky for 10th position, and Nico Benz gets past Harry Lai down in 18th as well. So overtakes going on throughout the field. So Dylan Warren is just absolutely on it.
He is, yeah. There's nothing anyone can do to stop him here. That gap to Tamas Gal yet again. Over 2 seconds now, 2.2 seconds, and another 3/10 back towards Reese Linton and Matt's Grossport up. Then we can see, of course, at the top, Tycho Hardy's got a 5.4 second gap to Louis Welch. That gap was originally around 3 seconds. So Tycho's also got some decent pace here on these intermediate tyres, and obviously behind Louis will be Ray Simtiaz, of course, also on a set of the 12-lap-old intermediate tyres. Dylan Warren now got a 2-second gap. Now the question is, does Race defend or does Race set him through? That's a big question, isn't it, for these here on the Inters? Do they let them through, or do they just defend it hard?
Well, they will answer that question, but I don't think 1 lap difference is one thing, but when you've got 6, 7 lap difference, I don't think Reyes is going to have any option. I think Dylan's going to nail him here. I'm keeping an eye on the battle for 5th. Gal, Linton, and Grossport. There goes Reese Linton. Outside line coming down to the first again. There's impact between the 2, but they managed to hang on just about. Here comes Max Grossport to try and nail them. He's got 1. Can he get the second one? He's on the grass trying to keep his car going. They're still side by side, but there's impact now between Linton and Grossport. Reese Linton maintains his spot at the head of this trio. It's Tamas Gal that's lost out, but he nudges the side of the McLaren. He's managing to keep the car on the road just about. And Tomek Paragic has got a good ringside seat. Well, what he can see through the spray. But Tamas Gal still manages to lose out. He's now down into 7th.
Well, Dylan Moran will be more than happy to let all that happen behind him. As you can see there, that gap now 3.6 seconds between Dylan and Reese. And we can see Dylan now looking to gain in here on the back of Race as they head down towards Grassini. Looking to close in here on the rear of the F7R Alphateri, there's nothing really that race can do here. Just let Dylan through pretty much, or just let him drive past you, because that's what's going to happen either way. As they head down towards Ravatsa 1 and Ravatsa 2. To the inside, now he backs off for now. He knows he doesn't need to make it just yet and be too eager. He'll make it down towards turn 2. The Variante Tamburello is on the exit. He goes on the power. Battery being used here by Warren. To the outside he goes and flies past Racing Chaz. Into third goes Dylan Warren, and we can see once again now Max Grossputton looking to gain in here on the rear of Reese Linton. Can he make a move for P5? No, he can't, but he's getting in quite quickly along that back straight as he heads down now in towards the next couple of corners here. Turns 2, 3, and then back to the left at turn number 4. Max has got some brilliant pace here on these inters.
Yeah, he certainly does. He's making Reese Linton's life very, very awkward at the moment. Another three-way fight is forming for ninth, with Goendorp, Sauser, and Dukomsky all battling for their bit of Italian real estate. Oh, the McLaren's coming deep and nearly hits the back of the Red Bull into Tozer. So Lukomsky just about manages to avoid slamming into the back of the diffuser of Souza. Dylan Warren has already caught up to Louis Welch now. So the Ferrari will be facing off against the SRC Aston Martin. Again, much like Racing Tiaz, I doubt that Louis Welch is going to have much of an answer to the tyre advantage that the Ferrari has. We'll see what he chooses to do. I wouldn't actually be surprised if those three that haven't pitted yet choose now to do so, rather than costing them time fighting a fight they're inevitably going to lose. Well, Tycho Hardy has chosen not to. Is Louis Welch going to come in? No, he has chosen not to. He's not deploying any ERS, though. Dylan chose to get past the Aston Martin. Louis Welch chose not to defend that one. No ERS used, and that is through into second for the Ferrari. Yeah, Louis Welch pretty much letting that one go, recognizing that is not his fight.
Of course, a move being made by Max Gross, putting there to be ahead of Reese Linton. Has a bit of a squiggly exit, though, and Reese gets right back on his rear as they head out of the Tamburello chicane. Now entering in towards the Villeneuve chicane. Reese Linton looking to close in once again here and make a move ahead of Max Gross, but just can't get quite close enough in towards the corner at Tosa. We can see, of course, further ahead now, Dylan Warren looking to bring that gap down between himself and Tycho Hardy, but Tycho has looked decent here on these intermediate tyres. He's not really been, he's not really been shut down half a second a sector here by Dylan Warren. It's coming down more gradually, like a tenth or two per sector so far. We can see, of course, further back as well, Keane Gundorp here looking to gain in on the rear. Tomac Parajic and get himself up in towards P8. He's looking to try and just dispatch here the rear of Lukomsky. He's also dispatched the rear of Felipe Sousa and TS's day. Oh, yet again, it's not really worked out the way they would have wanted, has it, Chris?
No, but there's still half the race to go. We're only at the halfway stage at the moment. Still, plenty of things can happen. The rain is definitely easing up. So again, like in qualifying, we are likely to see some dry running. So how much longer is going to be the big question. Now, this will be why I suspect that we haven't seen a pit stop from Hardy, Welch, and Imtiaz. They are banking on the weather drying up quicker than it is, though. I don't know how far these inters can go. I can't imagine they've got too much life left in them. But that being said, those that have already pitted have probably lost the significant portion. Well, not probably. They have lost a significant percentage of their tyre advantage. So it is balancing out a little bit. It's going to be a case of who pulls the trigger first. Do those that are really struggling just bite the bullet and go on to another set of intermediates, or are they just going to risk it and hope that the weather dries for a set of softs sooner rather than later? Looking at it, I would go with another set of inters for now. More out of safety than anything else, but then we know how difficult overtaking is here. Sometimes that long shot strategy is the one that works.
Yeah, indeed. They're just trying something different, and so far for Tycho Hardy, it's working quite well. He's got a 4.4 second gap here to Dylan Warren. I think the key thing he needs to note down is just don't push too hard. Don't worry too much about Dylan catching up, because we know that he will catch up eventually because he's on better tyres. So Tycho's just got to get himself into, not much of a pressurised mindset. Just keep driving as he is and just keep on with that consistent pace and try and drag these inters as far as he can in this race. The rain, though, is looking lighter and lighter as the laps get underway. I can't see it being too long now before the rain stops, and then a few laps after that we should see the softs come out in towards fruition. So around lap 23 or 24 we could see some softs making an appearance here in this race.
I fully expect to see the field on softs by that point. But it is all down to when that rain stops. He could just trickle on for more laps than the drivers are comfortable with. There will be some that will bite the bullet and go on to another set of inters that are really, really struggling, being that most of the field have been through the pits once. I don't know that too many people are going to do that. It's only Tycho, Louis, and Reyes that haven't been through the pit lane yet. They're the ones that are likely, if they're going to, go for another, essentially a safety set of intermediates if they think they are going to detonate. But, Tycho Hardy still putting in respectable laps. He is losing time to Dylan Warren, as you would expect, but it's not by the massive leaps that we saw from the Ferrari earlier on.
Of course, as we can see now, Max Grossputner now looking to make a move ahead of Race Imtiaz. Backs off in towards Ravazza 1 and 2. We'll look for it down towards turn number 2 here as they head through in towards the 2 final corners. Back down towards turn 2 they go. Now Max on the power looking to get a move ahead and get himself into P4 here in this race, and technically provisional second because those first, third and now fifth have to make a pit stop here in this race. So we could see Max look to make this work very, very well for himself indeed, and we can see Race Imtiaz fighting back but backs off in towards the braking zone. Now Ika Baena, he's pitted. The rain has stopped, Chris and Screen. The rain is stopped. What is Ika doing here? Is he going on to a set of drives? Surely he must be, shouldn't he, at this point?
Wilson Hall has also followed him in. I reckon they're throwing the dice.
Inters.
No, it's inters for Ika Baena, which I think
Mediums.
at this stage is right. It's medium for Wilson. Well, he was already towards the back, so he decided, may as well. That is too early to make those work. He is going to be off into the dust.
But why is Ika pitting that earlier? Why is he pitting now for inters when the track's getting drier? Is that a bit of a mistake maybe from the Williams team there?
Potentially, Wilson nearly bins it on the pit lane exit. He just lit up the rears and nearly chucked the nose straight into the wall. That is not going to work. I cannot see that coming to fruition. He's going to lose way more time than he's ever going to gain.
Yeah, ambitious indeed there from Wilson Hope to try and make something work here, and I don't think that will work that well. As we can see, the ball fly through now in towards the next couple of corners here in this race, and to begin lap 20 of 32, we've got still Tycho Hardy leading the way ahead of Dylan Moore and ahead of Louis Welch, the top three. Then Mats Grossputner in P4, followed by Race Imtiaz in P5 and Reece Linton in 6th now, looking to try and take fifth away from Race Imtiaz as they head down to turn 2. To the outside goes Reece, but he can't find the move ahead of Race. Brilliant defence here from the F7R. As they head round in towards turn 4 now. Reece still looking to make a move as they head down towards the next couple of corners. And this is bad for Reece because look at the time he's losing to Max. Yeah,
that's not ideal. So I'm watching Wilson Hawley's wheel spinning in 5th. It's just not going well for the Haas. That's I guess it was a I'm last, I may as well, but he's never going to make that much time back as Nelson Alves adds his name to the penalty board. Riding on board with Tamas Gal. Oh, that's a spin. I'll give you one guess who it is. I don't think you need to guess who was doing some lawn mowing down at Ravazza. Well, you tried, I suppose. But yeah, like you say, Reece Linton he's bottled up behind Race Imtiaz. Now, those that started on the Inters are struggling hard now. So Race Imtiaz is under a lot of pressure. He is still defending, or was earlier at least, against Reece Linton. And Louis Welch is still trying to defend against Max as well. So they are still trying their best. But, Louis is just about to be mugged here from Max. And, I think Louis knew that one was done, so didn't defend it too hard. Race Imtiaz has half a chance to keep this one to himself. Reece Linton, not close enough to make a move.
Yeah, he can't find his way through. And Reece is on better tyres. He's on 6-lap pressure tyres, and he just can't find a move ahead of Race Imtiaz here. This is not good signs at all. Here for Reece Linton, look at that gap he's now got 2. Mats Grossputner at the front. It's what? 1.4. It's about nearly 2.5 seconds here. So this is really ruining Reece Linton's race. We can see further back there, that'll be Julian Klaffenbach making a move ahead of Jan Hardo for P12. And that, obviously, with a penalty, is really going to ruin Julian's race and ruin R8G's possibilities of trying to get closer to Ferrari in the championship. Now, the gap at the front between Tycho and Dylan, 1.4 seconds now. Oof, I think either way, Toko has made this work because he's then going to wait another 6 seconds for Max to catch up. So either way, Toko could be on for a P2 here tonight. This is a brilliant work here from F7R. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, he's on for a really, really strong finish here. Unlike our resident house lunatic, Wilson Hall, he's actually going to be lapped soon. He's lost nearly 40 seconds to Ika Baena as Harry Light gets a penalty. Reese Linton gets 5th place from Racing Tiaz coming through Ravazza. Nicely done. And the Raceclat Alpine continues along his merry way. Now, the rain has definitely stopped. So now it's going to be, we're going to be facing crossover. You said about lap 24. I think you're going to be about spot on there. That's probably longer than those that started on the Inters would have liked, but they have managed to make it work just about. But yeah, the ones that have really benefited well have been Louis Welch and Tiger Hardy. They've done very, very well to make it work. Reyes has tried, but he is falling back now. Ika Baena is setting the fastest lap task. Of course, he's not long pitted. He's on the freshest Inters, but also the track is drying. So, of course, the fastest laps are going to continue to fall, but it's going to be that all-important crossover point now.
Indeed, as you can see them all heading through now in towards Aquamin and that's wide there for Racing to get a penalty. Tamashgal looking to make his way through. Someone's made a mistake. Who's that? Is that Wilson Hall again? It is being lapped now by Tiger Hardy and Dylan Warren, so this strategy has not worked at all here for Wilson Hall. We can see further back as well, Tamashgal looking to make a move ahead of Reese Linton to get himself in towards P5, and then we can see further ahead now, Dylan Warren within a second of Tiger Hardy. So Taco still has got a very good gap once he's been overtaken by Dylan to Max and then to Louis.
He's in a really, really good spot for F7R to really dent the gap between F7R and Williams. Where's the second F7R driver? 7th, so it's Reyes. So, that's a lot of swapping going on the run down towards Tamburello. So Gal, I think, Tamas Gal got ahead of Reese Linton there, but you can expect a lot more leapfrogging going on when the drivers swap over to the soft tyres if they get it right. Oh, look who's in the pits for Inters. Wilson Hall's had enough of that and is now gone on to intermediate tyres. Yeah, there's just no words for that. So we'll move on. Tamascal very close to the back of Louis Welch. Of course, Louis on those starting tyres still, bear in mind, he's got very little left in them. They're down to canvas almost. So he's going to be really struggling and just can't rotate. The Aston gets a shove from the RAG of Tamascal. Oh, nearly impact between the two again. But that's just how much Louis is struggling to slow down as well. So Tamascal, can he get the move done down into Ravazza? He's gone for the inside line. No, he can't get it done, but that's a big slide from the Aston Martin, but he just about manages to shut the door as Likomsky, Imtiaz and Parajic are arguing for 8th place as well.
Oof, they're all getting close to contact on the here, Chris, as they head 3 wide in towards turn number 2. But I want to watch here on the back of Reese Linton looking to make a move ahead of Gal. Then we got Godendorp as well looking to make a move into turn 2. Who's going to come out ahead? It'll be Louis ahead of Tamash, ahead of Reese, and then Keenan will go round the outside of 1. He goes round the outside of 2. Keenan Godendorp, brilliant move there in the Williams into P5. Now he is in the hot spot to make a move ahead of Louis Welch.
Wow, that was brilliantly timed from the Williams Esports driver. Just saw the two ahead of him come together as again, big dive from Reese Linton coming into Toza, trying to get the move on Tamashgal. No dice again, but that was perfectly timed from Kieran Goendorp. Louis Welch, his next target, 5.6 seconds up to the top 3 after that. But who's going to pull the trigger? Who is going to get onto the soft tyres at the right time, Mr. Hall? Dylan Warren is on the back of Tycho Hardy now. The Ferrari on the outside line on the way down to Ravazza. I think Tycho bowed out of that. Yeah. He knew that his tyres weren't going to defend that. Dylan Warren back in the lead.
Yep, and the thing is, the track isn't drawn up that quickly. The track's still very wet and greasy. So the question is now, what do these Inters do? Tycho's just got to say it as long as he can, hasn't he, at this point here? Because the track's not drawn up as much as I think we thought it would. We can see a dry line forming, but it's not that all. And we can see people pitting there. Were they pitting for soft is the question. Louis and Tamash in. What do they choose to do? Unless they got damage, hopefully not, but we can see more people pitting. What's the choice of tie here for these people as they head in? Softs and softs for. Did Louis go into a set of inters? No, set of softs for Louis and set of softs for Tamash Gal. So they're looking to try and jump the gun here and make this strategy work. If they can, they could be in a winner here. They could be on a really good winner here because Ray Simtiaz also joins them in the pits along with Lenny Pepinta.
I think they were a bit damned if they did, damned if they didn't, because if they left it too much longer, they wouldn't gain enough of an advantage with the amount of laps left.
Ooh,
so
Tucker Hardy.
Oh, Tucker Hardy! Wow! I think he's punctured. He's got a puncture. That rear left is gone. The rear left is punctured. That I think is why Louis Welch came in. He knew he was in puncture territory.
Oh dear me, and Tucker Hardy. I thought it was a bit of a slide, but no, he's got a puncture on the F7R car. Now driving like Lewis Hamilton back in Britain. He can't navigate the car around the circuit whatsoever. It's a very greasy track on intermediate tyres with a big puncture here. So Tucker Hardy's strategy has gone from brilliance to absolutely nothing here as he heads down towards Ravazza 1. Now Keane Godendorp up the inside of Tucker. Tucker still tries to defend but can't do anything onto the gravel. Goes the F7R and what a strategy this could have been here for Hardy. He has to pit now onto our presumer set of the soft tyres as Tamash got a big slide. Sorry, Julian, a big slide overtakes into the pit lane, and then Jan Hardy joins in, and a bit of a tap there from Hardy into the back of Klavenbach. Oh, what a sequence of corners there for Hardy.
Oh, from hero to zero. Oh dear. But where does this leave those that haven't pitted? The top 5 have not come in at this point.
Louis Welch.
That's going to be the thing. Is where does that leave them?
Louis Welch is going to be our net race lead.
Well, could well be. There are soft runners ahead of him, I think. So, Tamash Gal has managed to leapfrog, has managed to get past Louis Welch. It's all going to be down to if they can get the traction, if they can get the lap pace out of these soft tyres. There we go. DRS is now enabled. So no, still on the inters, need to pit this time around. There's no point them continuing on. They may as well pit unless they think they've got a big enough gap, which is with 6.5 to go.
It's going to be a close one.
Yeah, I don't know. Dylan is in. What does Max is in? What I would think everyone's going to come in at this point. Keane Goendorp just coming around the last part of Ravazza. What does the Williams driver do? He is in.
Does Nico say it on these older tyres?
Eh?
He does. I was going to say, does he say it on the older tyres, on the newer tyres? Because remember, his tyres are 5 laps better than the others, aren't they?
Well, someone has thrown the dice the other way. Yeah, exactly that. So Nico Benz has decided to stick, and so has Ika Baena. He's chosen to stay with the intermediate tyres. Now, I can see why Nico did it, but Ika Baena, I don't know on that one. I think that's the wrong decision.
We'll see, but then again, look at the trains all back. Look how close they are together there. You can see Tamash all down to Shimon in a big train. We can see Max Groschport now ahead of Ika Baena into P3 goes. So looking for a podium here for the Veloci Academy team. We can see further back as well Reese Linton here on the rear as Louis Welch looking to make himself into P7. We can see as well Felipe Cesar here looking to make it a top 10 for the TF10 team. Obviously Reese has got a penalty, Harry's got a penalty, so Harry will drop back quite quickly in this pack. You can see down to P8 is Harry Light, and we can see Harry's getting through.
Harry's letting people through. Well, he was, and he's now arguing with Tommy Paragic, but he actually backed out the throttle on the way out to Piratella. He's an absolute sitting duck, literally passing him left and right.
Yeah, he's trying to defend it, isn't he? But defense on those tyres becomes a bit more reckless, doesn't it? As he's trying to just not let them through, but they're all just passing through him either way. As now it's going to be Ray Simtiaz's turn to get past Harry Light to get himself into P12. To the inside goes Ray Simtiaz, and no defence at all offered from Harry Light. There's nothing he can do at this point. And now Jan Halliday's turn to try and get his way through in towards P13 here. And Jan to the outside of Harry, and Harry goes back into the pit lane now. We can see moves being made. We've got Reese Linton, Tamash Gal, Louis Welch all fighting for P5 as they head into turn one. It'll be Reese ahead of Louis, ahead of Tamash.
Yeah, very, very feisty further downfield, but it looks like it's going to be Dylan Warren again, the big winner from all this lot, side by side. Tamash Gal not quite, couldn't make it pay off. but he's still fighting with everything he's got. Nearly hits. Oh, it does tap the back of Louis Welch, but no harm, no foul on that one. So, goodness me. Various different ideas on tyre strategy, but ultimately those that stuck with the Inters, that has backfired badly. Look at the gap for Dylan Warren, and here comes Ika Baena now to be absolutely mugged by a pack all around him.
Yeah, I think he's trying to hold them up a little bit here, so they're all heading towards the chicane. Reese Linton goes to the outside, round the outside of Ika Baena goes Reese Linton now. Tamas Gal looking to get ahead then. Louis Welch got through on 1. Can he get through on 2? Yes, he can. Louis Welch now into P5. Dylan Warren takes the lead already ahead of Nico Ben, so he's now going to drop down like... Well, he's just going to drop dead. He's so quick at this point, as we can see. Ikebana now trying to defend ahead of Tomek. Can't do so. Lukowski through as well on the Williams. Will he go to the pits? No, he won't. He stays out now to try and defend possibly from those to help Keane a bit more. Keane now getting past the back of Shimon. Then we'll look to get past Felipe as I head down towards turn 2. Can he get the move done? No, he can't. Further ahead, we can see Louis Welch now looking to try and fight for B5. Gal looking to make his way through as well. Absolute chaos here on lap 29 to 32. You don't know who's going to take who's going to take P4 here, because I think Dylan has easily got that victory in his hands.
Well, it's his to lose now as Tamas Gal sizes, Tomo Paragis sizes up Tamas Gal as Reyes Imtiaz gets past the now falling Ika Baena. And that's trouble. That's Halliday. Yeah, and Halliday's had a spin. That's over at Tozer. Oh, TES's hopes for a strong finish seem to have fallen by the wayside. Both TES drivers now outside of the top 10. It looked strong for them during qualifying, but sadly the race result not going their way. Nico Benz losing more positions. I think he's got more, even there's 6 seconds between himself and Reese Linton. The lap time difference is about that. That delta will be gone in a lap.
Of course, it's looking very strong indeed from these guys as they head their way through towards these next few corners. They're all heading down towards turn 1 once again. Now we can see, yes again, Tamashka looking to make a move ahead of Louis Welch.
Indeed. So who's going to win out here? Side by side. And again, without DRS, Louis Welch is going to plummet. Here comes Paragic. He's sizing up Gal again. But still just can't quite get the traction when he needs it. He's managed to wrong foot Tamashka coming through Tamburello. Can he get him into field now? No. He can't. The RNG driver does manage to deploy enough battery to keep the Ferrari at bay.
As they all now head down in towards the next few corners. Here once again, turn 7 at Tosa. Prajic looking to make a move ahead of Tamish Gal as Reesinton's broken away from this pack now as they all file their way through into Piratella. One by one. Down in towards Aqua Minerali now, and we can see Tamish Gal leading this train here ahead of Tomek, Louis, Kian, Felipe, Shimon and Reis Imtiaz all looking to battle out for P5 in this race. We can see now Tomek pulling near enough alongside in towards the Variante Alta, backs off as they head into there. Louis Welch gets a penalty. Big shame for Louis Welch to possibly drop out to the top 10 as now Nico Benz gets overtaken by Reese Linton into P3. Goes the Alpine, and now Nico's got a lot of work to do. He's got a lot of work to do on this final lap of this race. Whew. This is going to be close, because look at this. Nico's in P4. He's got 1 lap, and there we've got Tamashka looking to try and fight past him to the outside. Nico's burning his batteries in here, looking to just try and keep ahead. Tamashka got one way through. We've got Parachi through to P4. Through goes the Ferrari, and then we've got Nico in P5. Tamash looking to go to the inside at turn 2. Then we've got Louis Welch looking to find his way through, and Nico, that was close there. And Nico's round!
Yeah, nothing left of those tyres. They'll be
puncture! It's going to puncture!
Yeah, that's a puncture. 90. They're just boiled. They are absolutely on fire. And that is, no matter how you cut it, that is the end of the race. Ika Baena back in the pits again. So I don't know how many times he's been in. But yeah, the top 3 are pretty much sorted out. But everywhere else is ferocious fighting going on.
Of course, the championship-wise, this is brilliant, isn't it? For Ferrari, 1st and 4th. The championship leaders, 7th and 19th. The championship runners-up are sitting 14th and, 8th and 14th. Ferrari are loving this, aren't they?
That they certainly are. It was looking so strong for F7R earlier on. They were running, 2nd and 4th, I think, at one point, but it all undid itself very, very quickly indeed. But Dylan Warren for Ferrari has started his final lap.
Yeah, look at how Pepinta's now back within the top 10. Wasn't he down last a while back earlier on? Now he's up into P11, looking to get 10th. Brilliant recovery drive here from Pepinta. Now looking to take P10 away from So what's happened there? Someone's had a mistake, haven't they? I can't see who it is. It's Imtiaz. It's Imtiaz who's dropped down a few positions. And then further back, Nico Benz. Once again, he's still going to carry on round, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's just limping around on three wheels. So I think Imtiaz just had no DRS there. I think that was all the ham to Reyes. And they'd lost pretty much 3 positions as a result. So that battle there is just all absolute brawl for what is ultimately 7th position, side by side again. Zikomsky and Pepinta can't quite, the Race Clutch LP can't quite get past the VA McLaren.
Yep, as we'll head through now in towards the next few corners, but back to the front we go. Dylan Warren. Absolute masterclass drive here. We saw it last week in Qatar with Ismail Fassi, led by 4 seconds and won by 4 seconds. And this time it'll be Dylan Warren who takes victory for Ferrari at their home Grand Prix in Imola. It's Dylan Warren with a 5.3 second gap to second place. Brilliant from Dylan. It'll be Max in second, and Reece Linton will finish in P3, and he'll get dropped down because of his penalties, meaning that it'll be Tamas Glenn in third, Prajic in fourth, and Reece Linton drops down to P6. 1 penalty drops him down 4 positions there, well, 3 positions there.
You know, Louis Welch lost 6 positions as a result of him finishing in P12 in the end of the SRC Aston Martin. But wow, we said it, didn't we? That the first half was going to be a little bit more kind of tactical, although the rain really kind of spiced that bit up. But what a finish to this race.
Yep, absolutely brilliant ending to the race. And, well, you've got to say hats off to Dylan Warren, because a 5-second win, you know, to then be another, and then obviously we got Mats, who's 9 seconds ahead of Tamas Gal. Absolutely brilliant from those, because you look at the gap to leader. What's that? 14 seconds to P3. 14 seconds in a grid which pretty much is equal, I'd say.
Is certainly far closer than that. It's what happened to her? Yeah, let's not talk about that. Driver of the day, King going double. Oh, you could pick so many drivers out of that lot. Driver of the day, but goodness me, Haas got it wrong. Put it that way. NVR Racing, strategy did not go their way. But before Stewart's intervention, Dylan Warren, I don't think he has anything to worry about with that victory up top. Then it is Max Grosspointer for VA in second, Tamas Gal for RAG in third, Tomo Parajic, the second of the Ferrari drivers, in fourth, Ken Gondor for Williams in fifth, a great recovery drive for him. Reece Linton for Race Clutch in sixth, the second of the Veloci Academy McLarens in seventh for Likomsky, Lenny Pepinta, Race Clutch in eighth, Julian Klavenbach for RAG in ninth, with Reyes Imtiaz for F7R rounding out the top 10. TF10, Philip Selzer in 11th, SRC Louis Welch 12th, F7R Tycho Hardy in 13th, 01 might have been for him. Nelson Alves for TES in 14th, Jan Halliday for TES in 15th, with Joel Marquardt for TF10 in 16th, Harry Lai for SRC 17th, Ika Bayana for Williams in 18th, and finishing a lap down, Nico Benz for MVR and Wilson Hall for MVR.
Yeah, indeed. What a race that was, and an ending which no one could have predicted at all, could they? And hopefully we can have a quick word from them in the interview, in the top 3, of course, being Dylan, Max and Tamas, because I'm sure they've got a lot to say about what that race was and turned out to be.
Yeah, we always love to have a chat with our drivers. It's never mandatory, but it's always good to hear what... I can't imagine Dylan may well not have a great deal to say, because he just ran off into the distance at every opportunity, didn't he?
Yeah. Well, we've got a couple of them in the interview room. We'll drag them in now. Obviously, Dylan and Tamas, and we'll drag all 3 of them in. We can get 1, we'll get 2, and we'll get the 3rd one in. So first of all, we'll speak with... first of all, thank you all for joining us in the interview box. But first of all, we'll speak to Tamas Gal, 3rd place in that race. Tamas, it was a bit of a crazy one, wasn't it? Started on the front row and in the end, coming home P3. Explain to us what happened during that course of that race.
Well, first of all, quali wasn't also perfect, because I was not expecting only P2, because I mean the lap times were very far off what I was doing in practice, but that was fine because I was starting still on the front row, even with a bad lap. The race, I mean, I think as you saw, I was like gapped in like 3 laps, which was pretty understandable because I was running pretty low wings compared to Dylan, because we thought that it would dry up earlier. So, we will lose a little bit of time in the full wet and inters, but then on the dry we will be faster again. But yeah, it's a shame it didn't pay off, but in the end it's still P3 with resist penalty. I don't know if it will get removed or not, but if it will not get removed, then it's still a decent result, because the last few races I raced in Easters didn't go the way I wanted, because I had some issues in the game with the screen freezes, and yeah. But still, P3 is a decent result for like overall in the standings. I think we will be P3 now, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure. I think we might still be P4, because I think Ferrari finished P1, P4. Williams finished P7, P18. So yeah, we will have to see. But there are still 3 races left. A lot of opportunities. So.
Yeah, of course. I think there's still many opportunities for you and the team to take. Obviously, it's 50 points if you get a 1-2. So technically, you can still go and win the championship. But anyway, mate, well done on the P3. Anything from you, Chris?
No, not at all. That's just absolutely great stuff to see through all the chaos. The racing was absolutely superb. Thoroughly loved it.
So, Thomas, mate, thanks for joining us, and maybe we'll see you again next time.
Yeah, you're welcome, and wish you all a good night.
Thank you. You too, mate. Have a good one. Right, next we'll speak to our second place hitter, Max Grossputner, mate. Max, welcome in. Can you hear us?
Hello, yes.
So, brilliant race. P2 in the end. I think, starting 10th, you didn't quite get the qualifying underway. What happened in Q3? Because you didn't manage to get a lap on the board, did you?
Yeah, I don't know. I was thinking like crazy. I was touching the inside curb in Acra Minerale and then, invalidated on the exit, so really shit.
Yeah, so I suppose there's nothing much you could do about that when you're in that position, and well, you summed it up perfectly, didn't you? As the qualifying went underway, and then obviously going into the race, you started 10th, and then you had a mega start on the first lap. I think you moved up, 5 positions on lap 1, and then after that, you were just picking the positions off one by one, and then luckily, you got yourself into a position where you was able to gap Tamashka by, I think it was 9 seconds at the end, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think I was on quite a good setup. We peaked the setup. I think no one prepared it anyway for rain, so it was pretty setup dependent this race. And yeah, also lap 1. Pretty lucky to be honest, but yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah, indeed. And I think with Shimon finishing, I think it was around P7, P8. I think this puts the team in a very good position in the standings right now. I think it was about 20 points ahead of TF10, so you'll clear away from them. But then you've still got another 25 points to get to SRC and Race Clutch, so you might jump yourself up into around 5th in the standings, which I think, considering the start you had to this season, that's I think very, very good indeed. So Max, well done on the P2. Anything from you, Chris?
No, again, just brilliant stuff. It was great to see you, work your way through the fear. Was it when you saw what the weather was like, when you gridded up with it absolutely chucking it down? Were you kind of worried? Were you thinking, oh God, why here? Why this? Why now?
Yeah, I was thinking that because I already said that no one prepared a setup probably, so you had to guess one, and luckily I nailed it. So yeah, in the end, like lap 25, I hoped it stays wet, but yeah, perfect race in the end.
Indeed. So Max, thanks for joining us, mate, and maybe we'll see you again. See you again once more in E-Series. So have a good one.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Bye. And finally, we'll speak to our P1 sitter, Dylan Warren, mate. Welcome into the commentary box. This race went pretty much perfect, didn't it? P1 to P1, and you won by 5 seconds. I think the pace wasn't much of an issue, was it, tonight?
Yeah, surprisingly. I don't know. I think, as Tamas said, I think in qualifying everyone was quite far off. Like, obviously my lap wasn't perfect, but I obviously my lap was a bit less imperfect than everyone else's, so it got me pole, but I'm not going to complain about that. I was running a bit of a change in the setup as well to accommodate for the wet, which didn't go very well because I was just getting frame drops anyway. But yeah, the race, once I saw it was wet, we were discussing before, as probably every team was, Max said at least, discussing before the chance of it raining, because obviously it rained in quali, and then Tomek said that it rains like once every 2 times you come here, and I loaded into the thing and it's full wet, and then, prior to the race there was a lot of talk about inter or wet. That's probably why we took so long on the grid between all the teams. So you saw there's a bunch of people that started on inters. But I mean, we sort of took some inspiration from the fact that in Monaco everyone stayed out, and like Monaco last season everyone stayed out and were fine. strategically. So we just tried to do that again, and clearly it worked. I mean, I managed to pull away with Tamas's setup issues, and obviously I made the right setup for the situation.
Yeah, and I think, along with obviously Tamas having those issues, many other drivers, obviously some of them staying out, also help people up. So in the end, you could just pull away and not have to worry at all. Obviously, Max also got held up, so you also had a big gap to him. So no matter what, you could have easily still come on with that victory. You had, 5 seconds to Max, and it was, I think, 14.5 seconds back to Tamas. So even with the spin, you could have still come home P2. So that race went pretty much perfect. And as well, with Tomac finishing P4, standings wise, I think you'll get ahead of F7R. Not sure about getting ahead of Williams, but I think going into the next round, you two will be quite close. So do you reckon that you can try and defend that E-Series title this season?
I mean, you'd hope so, especially with a race like this. And obviously, since the last few will be more esports focused, track-wise at least. So we'll see who races those. With William pull out their esports drivers, if we pull out ours. Obviously, there's another race on Friday, which we need to go through first anyway. So.
Yeah, indeed. Obviously, you going to be racing in Mexico yet, or do you not know?
No, I'm pretty certain I will be.
Any good thoughts about that track, or
no?
As usual, normally from what you say.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, but I mean, I think throughout the championship so far, we've looked at we've been 5th, 6th, I think 7th maybe at some point.
Yeah.
And we've always looked at the gap to the leader, and that's stayed until recently, until last race. That stayed pretty stagnant at around 40 points. Then they jumped up to 50, but obviously this brings it back a lot. So.
Yeah, indeed. So that's all from me, mate. So well done on P1. Anything from you, Chris?
Again, there was nothing to say. That was a complete masterclass. Yeah, very much. This is how it's done. So well done.
Thank you very much.
And we'll see. Hopefully, Dylan, see you again on Friday if you end up winning again, or if not.
Yeah, you will not see me on pole.
What will we see you in the wall instead?
Maybe pit lane entry. Oh god.
So, Dylan, mate, thanks for joining us, and have a good one.
Okay, thank you very much. Have a good evening.
You too. And well, Chris, there we are. A nice chat with our podium sitters. Always good to have a thorough chat through with those who finished on the podium. And now you can see us back on our screens, of course, the brilliant people. The two master classes behind the stream. What a race that was. It was brilliant, wasn't it? A way to end off round 8 of the championship. We got 3 rounds left to go. Obviously, we got Mexico, Las Vegas, and Brazil. I think of the final 3. A very interesting final 3 races to go. Obviously, we got Mexico, which is pretty much a straight line and then a few corners. Pretty much, isn't it? Then Las Vegas is just straight line, corner. So the setup dependent will be very high there, with, of course, having very low wings. Then Brazil, that is all just chaos because it's so easy to go side by side. So these last 3 rounds are going to be very, very interesting. And we could see a big change in the championship if one team makes a big mistake and if another team has an absolute brilliant race, like Ferrari did today at their home Grand Prix in Imola. But Chris, it's been a pleasure having you alongside me for a bit of a fill-in here for tonight. Obviously, Josh, I believe, is back with us on Friday. If not, I'm sure Chris or someone else will be back with us for Mexico. But obviously, guys, make sure to tune in tomorrow for PSGL F2 through to F6. I think it is all through to F5. Then obviously come back here on Friday for Mexico. And then I believe next week, or the week after, the normal tiers will be cancelled because of it mixing with esports and obviously the scheduling not being, within line. So obviously make sure to keep in touch on that on Twitter and Discord, and you can find out when races are on and when they're not. Because there's been a lot of break weeks, hasn't there, recently, Chris? It's getting a bit too confusing for myself as well.
Such is the nature of the beast, but there's plenty of good racing to be found, certainly right here in PSGL.
Indeed. So we're back next week, guys. Friday. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you then. Good night.